Open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being broadcast at a later date over the Lunenburg Public Access Channel. There's a Zoom link and a link to the public access channel in the agenda. This meeting will be broadcast at a later date through the local access cable channel and on the public access Facebook page, which will be found at the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel within 24 hours of the meeting. This agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of the discussion. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. Before we go to the Pledge of Allegiance, just so everybody's aware, Laura will be here. She had a performance for her kid. So she will be here somewhere around 7:30. You want to all stand? Say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so first thing up on the agenda is public comment for prior issues. Anybody who would like to make a comment about stuff we brought up before, more than welcome to do so. Ma'am, just identify yourself and your address.
Hi, I'm Sarah Kammer. I live at 304 Lancaster Ave. I just wanted to thank this committee and our superintendent for your efforts this year on looking at what our students really need first, and bringing that to the table. Some things I do want to mention that I think you have thought about are that 5% of children in Lunenburg live in poverty and 6% of seniors are. According to the census, that's real data. And if you look at the census, the majority of Lunenburg is not per capita. So when I think about equity in town, I think about what our seniors need and I think about what our impoverished students need first. And I have to say, I do serve on another board, but I'm not speaking for them right now. And on that board, it's the Board of Assessors, many exemptions have been put forward to handle impoverished seniors who maybe still own a home in Lunenburg. And our town has worked to address that problem, that issue, for the past 2 years at least. And those exemptions, they're called exemptions of taxes, and those exemptions had not been looked at for 20-something years. Those levels have been raised, approved by the town, and that is how we address seniors living in poverty in Lunenburg. And I want to bring that up because a refrain I'm constantly hearing is that we are evicting seniors from their homes based on our taxes. But with these exemptions, if we would like to change whatever those exemptions are, those levels, to address that issue in Lunenburg, we have recourse for that. And I wanted to bring that up because it's important to take care of the elderly and it's important to take care of the young. They do not have to be in conflict with each other. And that conflict is false. It is used to, I believe, to reduce raising taxes, period. And I'm not sure there are many seniors that like to see younger kids have reduced opportunities because they themselves are impoverished. I think that they would prefer to see those opportunities for kids. So if we need to change those exemptions, there's a method for that. And the other thing I wanted to say is 5% of our kids, I said it already, 5%. Think about that number. It's not hard for me to think about because I lived that life. I went to middle school wearing my brother's old clothes. I got a paper route when I was 11. And I didn't have to deal with that anymore. But that's not an easy thing to do around here. There are no sidewalks. You'll get run over on Mass Ave. That's why we have to bus our students. That's why we should not have busing fees for our students. It's appalling. So I just wanted to point those things out. It is up to this board and the town to put those thoughts before our tri-board. Because guess what? Every time you guys meet, I'm at the Board of Assessors handing the abatements for people who have found their taxes are too high. And I'm signing letters for exemptions for people who should have those things. Oh, and aside from exemptions, we've also passed the senior means testing in this town to reduce those taxes as well. So the next time somebody brings up that Granny's going to have to choose between paying for her house and her medications, that is not because the school is asking for too much money. They are doing the right thing by our students, and I hope that you will continue to impress that upon the boards that you're talking to. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else have any public comment? Liz, is there anybody online?
No.
Anybody up here have a comment? All right, okay. So moving on to the next agenda item, Chair's report. So there are two things I want to bring up. Number one, after 42 years of trying, Coach K finally has a girls state champion Division 5 in winter track. If anybody ever doubts that persistence pays. Oh, we have one?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
we do
sure,
have one.
sure.
Yep.
All right, let's go back.
His name is Chris Robarge.
Mr. Roberge, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All
Thank
right.
you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. I am here to speak on new business. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
So
My name is.
I just want to make sure you're aware, new business will be at the at the end.
Okay, so public comment on new business is at the end?
Yes.
Okay, then I will wait here patiently. My apologies.
Unless we want to take, do we care if we take them out of order?
No, I don't care.
Okay. Mr. Roberge, we're going to take you out of order so you don't have to wait.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So again, my name is Chris Robarge, and I am the staff rep for AFSCME Council 93. We represent about 65 workers here in Lunenburg, serving as paraprofessionals, office personnel, and of course, school custodians. I wanted to comment on the discussion about potentially privatizing the school custodians. Privatization would result in the loss of jobs that these men and women love, and the loss of their pension and affordable and quality health insurance coverage for themselves and their families. It would also be a loss for parents, students, and teachers across Lunenburg who rightly recognize these men and women for what they are, a critical part of the fiber of the school community. These students and teachers know and trust these custodians. I've seen it in person when I'm in your buildings, and they rely on them every day, not just for keeping the schools clean, but for intangible things, the most important of which is serving as an important layer of security during these troubling times. They're the eyes and ears of your schools, and when something or someone seems out of place, they're often the first to notice and take action. AFSCME has decades of experience with watching employers hand over this important work to private for-profit companies, and what we can tell you for sure is that you will lose your current workforce to neighboring communities. Replacing that workforce would be a revolving door of strangers with no connection to your students, your teachers, or your community. And that's because the only way these proposals are profitable for private companies is if they drastically slash the wages and benefits of the workers. But look, we realize that tough economic times are happening right now, and they require tough decisions. If you are considering taking a vote that would cut the legs out from under these workers, I respectfully request you challenge and fully vet any supposed cost savings that you will achieve through privatization. And we can tell you, again, based on decades of experience, that any savings will be short-term at best. That's because the pattern is always the same. A for-profit company secures the contract with a lowball bid. A few years pass, and then the district loses the infrastructure to provide the service in-house, and then the cost of the contract starts going up every single year. You'll also start to see hidden fees and extra costs for things such as shoveling school driveways and walkways, and staffing special events, things that are currently handled by the in-house staff. Before long, the district is paying more for much less. In addition, you'll also be dealing with a whole other set of problems that you perhaps never envisioned. When you have some time over the next few days, search the Lowell Sun archives for what happened in Chelmsford when they made the mistake of privatizing their school custodial services, a mistake they ultimately had to correct by bringing the service back in-house. You'll find that the cost savings were exaggerated, and you'll also see that over just a few years, 4 employees of the contractor were arrested for offenses ranging from outstanding warrants to prescription drug crimes to theft of school laptops, cash, and even students' prescription drugs out of a locked cabinet. This is one example of how things can go bad very quickly when you get rid of trusted employees for the possibility of some short-term savings. In closing, we want to stress that we stand ready to work with the district to find solutions that will not replace your trusted custodians with a part-time minimum wage cleaning crew. To close, I just have 2 specific questions for the administration to ponder as they continue to crunch numbers. When you lay off these workers, what's the cost of meeting your contractual obligation to pay them for unused paid leave time, and will that cost be reflected in what you present to the committee? And when all of these workers refuse the lousy job offers that they get from the private contractor, have you estimated the cost of unemployment benefits that the town will have to reimburse to the state? For those who may not be aware, Brookline uses a reimbursement option, meaning that they do not pay UI tax, but they are responsible, sorry, this is supposed to be for you, Lunenburg. That was 50% of their pay for as long as 6 months that they were responsible for. And with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Rarish. That was a really thoughtful and helpful perspective. I just want to say, I was a custodian for 3 years. I am well aware of the value added and the layer of security. And also, they've saved me about $1,200 in lost earbuds because my son can't keep track of anything. So, thank you for your comments.
Can I make a
Thank you for your service.
Am I able to comment or are we not?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I apologize, I don't know many of the custodial staff, but Mr. Jose, I just to kind of jump on how it's more than just cleaning up messes and fixing things. When my daughter Nora entered kindergarten, Mr. Jose was the one that put in the sinks that she could reach and the faucets and the extenders and offered to build things if needed. And every morning we see Mr. Jose, and he's more than just a custodial staff to her. We talk about you a lot, actually, and his songs that he sings. And we have lots of conversations about how it's really, it's really helpful when you clean up your mess, and we don't leave it for other people to clean up and things like that. But he is more than a custodial staff to my daughter. He made school accessible for her in many ways, which I greatly appreciate. Thank you so much.
I would also, if we're making public comments,
Sure.
I would like to, for the people at home, recognize the sheer amount of custodial staff that we have that have shown up today. I would also like to mention, from a student's perspective, it's not just cleaning up messes. I see someone here who has let me into the tech booth multiple times when it gets locked. As a band student, I've made personal connections with 2 different people who have had the band hallway when I come in very late at night realizing I forgot my saxophone. You can ask almost any of my friends. I was devastated at one point. The old custodian that was in the band hallway when we were in middle school got moved down to Turkey Hill, and we were all so sad when he told us he would not be there. It is not just about cleaning messes, even to students, and the students do recognize you and do appreciate everything that you do for us. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. So the next thing I wanted to mention in Chair's report is last week at our school board meeting and at the Finance Committee, I had mentioned that on the 18th? On the 18th of March, we will be presenting our budget with cuts. And because we don't know exactly what the cuts were, but we knew that they would be bad based on prior experience, I flippantly called it the shoot your favorite puppy budget. And I have received feedback that is insensitive. And I want to apologize, but I also want to make sure that people are aware. I wanted to get people alerted to the problem, but it's hard to do when you don't know the scope or scale of the problem because the budgets are still being worked on. And so I didn't want to scare anybody, but at the same time I didn't want to make people think that it wasn't a big deal. And I had hoped that the language would engage with people, and it very clearly did, but maybe it was a little too much, so I apologize.
I think it's a good point to say that none of us volunteered for this job to have to cut positions. And I think,
Yes.
not to put the chairman, but the chairman is trying to express, I think, his deep commitment to what we can do, and the idea of having to present cuts is just so devastating, that while maybe his words were not what others would choose, I appreciate his concern for the gravity of the situation, because as the next few weeks go on, we are gonna hear from more and more people who are upset about what is being proposed. And none of us are doing that because we want to do that.
Right. It's just like a really tough position to be in.
Yes.
Because, you know, like, a lot of jobs are self-selecting, but like volunteer jobs are especially self-selecting. And when you self-select to volunteer to work for schools, the idea of cutting school programming is just not what you want to be doing. But when you add on top of that like all of us have kids in this district, it's not just that we're like cutting something we vowed to protect, but in a lot of ways, we could cut things that hurt our own kids. And so it's a fine line to walk, but you know, like you have that on one side, but on the other side, you don't want to be, you know, like Chicken Little. And I feel like sometimes, especially, you know, maybe more so in national politics, that everybody's like sky is falling, Chicken Little, and there's all of this pressure to say, you know, look how bad things are. But like we don't know, and so the only way I could think of, you know, saying that was to be the, you know, sharp tongue. And so I apologize for that. I want to make sure that people know that I heard those criticisms and it was not the right way to do it. That being said, I have never been accused by my wife of being overly sensitive. So, we're not shocking.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Chris Stevens, Director of Facilities.
Yes.
These guys are the
Chris.
backbone.
Come up to the mic.
I'm sorry. You know, I rely on these guys every day. I call them at night, can you do this, can you do that? And they do it, and they may not like it, but they do it. And to get rid of them would be devastating. I mean, there's too many moving parts to a school to have it work like that. You know, it works good maybe in an office building when everybody's gone and they're in there for an hour and they take the trash out and shut the door behind them, but when everything that's going on a daily basis here, these guys make this place run behind the scenes and nobody even knows, you know. So that being said, terrible idea. It will not work. So bottom line, thank you.
I appreciate that. All right. And the next thing on the agenda is the student representatives report.
I don't have much of a report from today. On Friday, district-wide, we are wearing green for Hattie. But mostly the school committee today asked me to just be here to speak on behalf of our student body in the decisions that are being made. So I don't have much of a report for you guys.
I do want to say that the stuff that you presented last week, I presented it at FENCom, and it answered a bunch of questions in a way that we've not really had a chance to answer before.
So I know technically anything I say is public comment, but feel free to ask me questions. And
Yeah.
I was talking to Ms. Fortuna, or Dr. Fortuna, sorry, and she said I should still be back here. So.
You should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's go to the next agenda item to review and approve minutes. Do we have a chance to review the minutes that were in the folder?
I don't think there are any.
Are there any?
There are any.
There are none? Okay.
Oh, good.
All right,
We
we'll
did
move
that.
on. Review and approve line item transfers, warrants, and donations.
We do have those.
All right.
Chris, would you like to come do line item transfers?
We have donations and line item transfers.
Yeah.
Good evening. The first transfer we have for tonight, it's in the amount of $54,548.50. And it's to transfer funds to represent the new allocations for the SOA grant. The
Student
funds,
Opportunity Act.
or Student Opportunity Act grant. The funds will be going from grant instructional staff salaries to, I won't go through all of them, but the below.
And can you just remind us, Chris, this is what Dr. Sarkis
Sarkis.
presented to us because
Correct.
we had a reading specialist who left.
Correct.
Right, and that funding is not going to be available next year, so we're using it for other things.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Why are we transferring $54,000 for, wasn't it 42,000?
So that was the amount that was paid out during the year. The 54,000 is the excess remaining
For the
amount.
budget. for this.
Other way around.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second transfer is to transfer funds to purchase testing materials for special education at the primary school. And it's for $462.07. And we will be transferring them from the supply line item. Math supplies, art supplies, periodicals, library expenses, guidance supplies, repair office machines and general supplies to primary school special ed instructional material account.
This zeroes out all of those
Correct.
line items halfway through the year.
Yes.
I don't love that, but where else is it gonna come from, I guess? Yeah, the repair office, some of those, will we need those, that money?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
A lot of them were small amounts from accounts that we had that we needed to transfer, for testing materials.
Okay. Yeah, we're just zeroing out a lot of accounts, that's fine. Those accounts will still have some remaining funds. Are we zeroing out on those accounts?
We are zeroing out
Everything but general
everything
supplies.
but just general supplies.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little update? I know you did at the FinCom meeting on Thursday. Where are we in terms of spending and in terms of the year?
So we're at 63.4%.
Okay.
Is that good?
When's our
That is
next?
very good.
When's our next report on that?
The quarterly report will be at the first meeting in April.
So you feel like we're on track
We are on track,
to spend everything?
yes.
Even with the heat?
Yeah,
Or not spend everything so that we can pay for the heat?
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
aware of it.
that's,
Yeah, I mean, with last year's situation, we obviously
Yeah.
don't wanna be so, which I know is a delicate balance, I'm not trying to, right?
All right.
motion to approve the two transfers as outlined.
Second.
All in favor?
Sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, Chris. There are three donations, correct?
Looks like it.
There's two, yeah.
Mhm.
Start with the regular two.
Can I just speak for a moment?
Yeah, come up to the mic.
So the two donations are in the donation folder,
Mhm.
but there also is one tied to a scholarship.
Yes.
That's in the scholarship folder that you'll see.
Okay.
Did you get my email? Very positive. Busy all.
Yeah.
So, the first donation is for the book fair and the box tops. So this is an amount of, let me make sure I get this right, $2,096.65, $23.10, and $2,119.75. And it is intended for, this is the PTO book fair and box tops, and is intended for field trips and presentations. I'd look for a motion to accept this donation with gratitude.
A second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. The next one is for Girls on the Run. Just gonna pause here. Girls on the Run is an amazingly awesome charity, so super great, glad to see that they're involved in the school. This is for $220, and it is, the intended purposes for Girls on the Run. I look for a motion to accept this donation with gratitude.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, super nice.
Motion to accept this very kind donation. Thanks.
Yes.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, now, there is one other donation, and it is a scholarship.
Can I say something?
Sure.
So, my mom actually went to high school with Betsy Parker.
Oh, really?
And she was really pleased she was actually quite upset when she found out Betsy passed away recently, very recently. And that at her last reunion, Betsy was there and she had a really nice time with her. So it's so nice that Betsy's legacy, she's leaving a scholarship for a senior at Lunenburg who had played at least 3 sports during their high school experience and did some other things. So I just thought it's very nice that her family has left that. And my mom, Dawn Johnson, has very, very fond memories of Betsy. So
She was a teacher.
she was a teacher and an athlete in Connecticut. Yeah. I know something about her.
So let me ask you some dumb questions.
Yeah.
She went to school in Lunenburg?
She did. She graduated with my mom. So class of 76.
Okay.
So she was quite young.
Yes.
So yeah, we were away 2 weeks ago and she found out from a friend. My mom wrote on her Facebook, one tribute read, PE was, so lots and lots of people wrote on the obituary online. And my mom quoted some of them. PE was our favorite subject growing up and Miss Parker was a big reason why. She was a special teacher and such a positive impact on our lives. Miss Parker was a wonderful teacher and a very caring person. I'm not a star in athletics, but she always made sure everyone had fun, learned a positive lesson, and gained confidence. Someone else wrote, she was a generational instructor that really touched the lives of everyone she worked with. She was a driving force in the school system and beyond. She will be truly missed.
I know this is a little unusual, but they provided a bunch of information in the Betsy B. Parker Scholarship Document Version 1. Would it be inappropriate to read this? This is incredible.
I don't think it's I think it's very appropriate.
Okay.
Someone
All right.
makes a
Such a nice donation.
Yes. Betsy B. Parker Scholarship is presented each year to a graduating student athlete that has earned a varsity letter in 3 sports during their 4 years at Lunenburg High School. Betsy felt that it is extremely hard to participate in 3 sports, maintain your grades, and be in good standing in the school and the Lunenburg community. Betsy Parker, class of 1976, was inducted into the Lunenburg Hall of Fame in 2019. Betsy was a 4-sport athlete at the Lunenburg High School. At the time of her graduation in 1976, she had been a varsity starter for 4 years in field hockey and basketball and for 3 years in softball. In her sophomore year, she participated in track and field and was the Wachusett League, district, and state champion in javelin.
For 1 year.
Holy cow, that's pretty good. She was a team captain in her senior year in 3 sports, basketball, field hockey, and softball. She led her basketball team in scoring her senior year when the team was District 3 finalist. She was named the Night Crier Athlete of the Year her senior year, becoming the first female recipient of that award. Betsy went on to be a teacher and coach for over 40 years in the Manchester Public Schools in Connecticut. Mansfield Public Schools in Connecticut. She treasured her time at Lunenburg High School and hopes that this award will help recipients with their continuing education expenses. Betsy Parker was a trailblazer, athlete, educator, and coach. This year's recipient of the Betsy B. Parker Scholarship is, and then that part will be filled in later, the criteria for judging the award that participated in at least 3 varsity sports during their time in Lunenburg, wants to continue their education beyond high school. Betsy asked that the preference be given to a 3-sport athlete that would express interest in becoming a teacher, is in good standing in the school and the local community as determined by school committee that judges candidates for any local Lunenburg High School scholarship. If a female and male athlete meet the criteria in a given year, the interest is to be split equally between the 2. I cannot think of a better way to leave a legacy. Like, that's just the best thing you could do. So, do we want to accept this incredible donation with gratitude? Anybody want to make a motion?
motion to accept this very generous donation in honor of Betsy B. Parker.
I'll second. Well, we're all third.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, let's go to the agenda item. Like, just, Yeah, we've been doing a lot of really terrible work.
Yeah.
It's just like so nice to see. It's so nice to see.
Well, and that Lunenburg was such a big part, and she didn't work here, you know,
Yeah.
she just grew up here,
Yeah.
so.
All right, turn it over to you.
Okay.
You have to follow that.
Sorry.
I know, this is gonna be hard. Before we dive into tonight's budget discussions, I wanna take a moment to provide an important update and correction regarding the financial figures that we've been reviewing, or that I sent out to the community. As we all know, building a school budget is a highly dynamic process, especially at this point in the process when refinements are being made. There are a lot of moving pieces, and we are constantly working with changing numbers. Recently, a community member, TJ Laughlin, hi TJ, reached out to point out a discrepancy in our latest numbers. Upon reviewing the calculations, I realized TJ was absolutely right. I had made a mathematical error. I want to be entirely clear, this was my mistake and mine alone. It was not an error by our business manager, Chris, or anyone else on our staff. I own it completely. Specifically, while adjusting the numbers, I inadvertently double counted $500,000 in free cash and incorrectly factored in approximately $19,000 in anticipated trim costs. Because of this miscalculation, the deficit I previously reported was artificially inflated. The silver lining here is that the accurate actual deficit we are facing is lower than what was previously stated. It is currently anticipated to be $1,978,307. While I certainly never want to make an error in our reporting, catching and correcting these things is exactly why we have an open, iterative public process. I want to publicly thank TJ for his sharp eye and his close attention to our budget. Because he reached out, we are able to correct the public record here tonight before any further decisions are made. As we move forward with the agenda this evening, we will be working from these corrected figures, and I anticipate that the committee may make some additional adjustments as we continue our work. To ensure everyone is on the same page, I will be issuing an updated letter to the entire community on Friday. That letter will briefly explain this correction and clearly outline our updated financial standing. Thank you for all your understanding, your engagement, and your collaboration as we work through this process together.
I just want to say this publicly. Building a budget is really difficult to do, and doing math by committee is exceptionally difficult to do. And so I'm grateful that TJ caught this error, and I'm grateful that we've put it out there and been transparent about how it was done. But I think that it's important to know, and for the public to know, that these things happen all the time. They've happened every year I've been on school committee. It is just the nature of the beast. And, you know, the budget is vastly more complicated than the school calendar, but I think this year is the first year we did not have a correction on the school calendar. So like, it's just the way things work when you have an open democracy and an effort to be transparent, and at the same time doing something very complex and difficult. Unfortunately, when we make a mistake like that, it's different than if like the US Congress makes a mistake. Like they probably spend more on napkins than, you know, the difference was between what we calculated. So here it's an error that, you know, changes a big number, but it's not, didn't change it in a bad way. And it is something that has happened literally every year. So, it's
And
just,
it is still very early.
yes.
We're early in the budget process, so that's why these things get discovered, although at this point, I think we should just bring TJ in, to look at
TJ
the
has
budgets. 'cause
An
this
open
is,
invitation to the 5th slot on school committee,
like,
as does anybody else.
yeah, if he's in the corner of a meeting making a face, it's probably time to stop and ask him what he's found.
We've done that, we've literally done that.
Yeah, we have, at least twice.
Just ask, what was the original budget deficit number? Because I had thought that it was.
2.4 million,
Oh, okay.
yes,
And we're-
Thank you.
we're-
down to 1.9.
And the only place that number really appeared was that letter, actually, and honestly, I'm glad TJ looks at things that's closely, because that's, and I think we all are, so.
But, you know, we're still very early in the budget process. We haven't submitted a number for a potential override, an official, like, we haven't put anything on the warrant yet. So this is really good that things were caught early.
I mean, one year we did the emergency meeting and I was in the lunchroom, and where were you? You were someplace, Peter was at like a
I
Red
was in
Sox,
the car,
Red Sox game.
picking up
so
a kid off the bus,
We've
yeah.
done this before, this is like,
So it's not, yeah, and I'm very grateful that we're still, I mean, it's March, it's the beginning of March, so we're still very early, not very early, but we're early in the process, and we are certainly farther ahead at this stage than we were last year. So thank you for the honesty and transparency, and that is very appreciated, and it is good to know that we're not dealing with as much of a deficit.
And that's to the restoration level. This
Yes.
is,
Yes.
that is
to the
I just, for the public, there was
So,
two numbers in
Does that affect our level service?
Yes.
Okay, so it also affects, so what's our new number for level service? How short will we be?
Yeah.
So we'll be
about
900
yeah.
short. If that
Correct.
counts new
Yeah.
growth,
Yeah.
and, would that count the town manager's
Mhm.
budget? You know what? That's really nice. If we had to make something, because when you originally had said, I was panicking that we would have to make an additional $500,000. So, thank you for going in that direction and not the other one.
Thank you, DJ.
Yes.
Yeah, and thank you again to CJ for being kind about it when we make errors.
Yes, and this is why we want people involved
Right.
in our
Oh, yeah.
process, why we're being so transparent, I think, this year, is nobody's perfect, and mistakes happen, and so I really appreciate that, and I appreciate the grace that I know the community will extend. So.
All right. Any other comments that we want to make before we go up to the next item on the new budget, or new business?
What's this one?
All right. Mr. Torrey, I'm assuming this is you.
Yes.
All right. I have some papers I'm gonna pass out to you folks.
Did I assume correctly?
Yes, you did.
Is this the field trip?
Yes.
I am so excited about this.
Oh, good. Take one, pass it on.
Can I come?
What grade is this for?
10th and 11th. Yes.
It drives me crazy that like the kids don't go. It's right there. It's right there. It's so close, and I'm so thrilled by this.
Oh, good. All right. Good evening. My name is Haley Attori. I've been teaching in Lunenburg for 14 years. I have a deep personal love for place-based learning. I've seen firsthand how a student's face lights up when they realize they aren't just reading a story, they are standing exactly where the story happened. That is why I made place-based learning my SMART goal this school year, and this field trip will be the culmination of a year-long practice of place-based learning in my U.S. history classes. I am planning to bring my 10th grade U.S. history and 11th grade AP U.S. history classes to Minuteman National Historical Park. This trip is a hands-on history learning opportunity for our students to walk the battlefield and see where the soldiers of the Revolution once stood. If all students come who are eligible, there will be 48 students in total on this trip. This trip is especially important because this year our country is celebrating America 250, the 250th birthday of our country. At Minuteman, our students will visit the very place where our country was created and defined. To make this happen, I applied for and secured a competitive grant from the American Battlefield Trust. They are the largest battlefield preservation group in the country, and they award these grants based on a competitive national application process. It's an honor for Lunenburg to be recognized, and it shows our commitment to excellence in the classroom. I want to be very clear on the financial side so we can ensure our reimbursement with their grant. We are keeping costs very low. Students will only need to pay $5 each. The trust provides a reimbursement of up to $500. We will need to pay D Bus Company up front, and that cost is $731.50. To get our money back, we have to be perfect with our payments and paperwork. I must submit all receipts and the reimbursement form within 5 business days of the trip. We need to be good about paying on time and have no delays to guarantee the trust honors the grant. And there are specific grant requirements. The National Battlefield Trust has prepared a press release, which I've given you their copy of. And I would need to send it with my personalizations to our local newspaper so the community can celebrate our students and also feature the generous gift by the National Battlefield Trust. And I will need the school committee's help of getting that published, I hope, in the Lunenburg Ledger. I will also be required to take and submit at least 7 rights-free photos of the trip to the trust, and required to send those along with student thank you notes shortly after the conclusion of our trip to the trust. Thank you for considering this and helping to bring this experience to our 10th and 11th graders, and I can take questions if there are any.
Can we get them paid on time? I think, I'm not asking if we can, is this something?
We can strive to work in partnership with the town manager and the town finance director to make sure that that happens.
What happens if the town can't rate? So I'm not sure how to the school department submits our bills to the town. I'm telling everyone this, I know that we submit our bills to the town, and then the town pays our bills out of the town accounts. The town has been through some staffing transitions, and things don't always get paid quickly. It's been an ongoing issue. I'm hoping things are good. We just hired, the town just hired an amazing woman up there. But what can we do to make sure this gets?
It's communication.
Okay.
It'll be a push through, so I'll talk to Jen and Karen.
Do we have like a petty cash account?
We do not.
We don't have access to the accounts that
Correct.
Can
the
someone else?
donation,
Right, we can't.
the PTO donations that just went into, that's not.
No, that is specifically for the schools. You needed that for the specific schools. We
Right.
do have a student activities account.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
But that's run by town hall.
No, the student activities account, we can
Okay.
expend from. So
So,
we can take a look at how much
Maybe if
is
that could be
remaining
a
in that
possibility.
balance. Yeah.
okay, because I want to make sure you are doing so much hard work to get this done, and I don't want the process up at town hall to be what
Holds it up.
And that's exactly why I put those very
Yeah.
stringent
could
requirements.
someone else pay it?
Trip?
May 29th
And then be
is
reimbursed by
the
the
hope.
town?
And not for that amount of money. The town would frown upon that.
Okay, but I frown upon stuff not getting paid.
So it wouldn't be until May 20th.
Yeah, so May 29th is
That's a lot of
the
time
date, and that's why we're doing this so early.
Yeah.
And I could even too, like, ask the students early to get those $5, but of course the $5 only makes the difference up between the
Right.
$500. So,
What we could do, Ms. Satori, is you could have, book the buses now and have D-Bus send us a bill
Yep.
for them, and we'll submit it now.
so therefore we could just have, and that's the only cost. I communicated with a ranger at Minuteman last year when I got the grant, when the application process happened. And they are a no cost for their ranger talks. Yeah, so we can just go,
The only cost of this field trip
is the buses.
is the bus.
And that's
And
really.
you got a grant for that,
Yes.
for most of that.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, and that's something we often run into, is the transportation is really the barrier to a lot of these trips, and that's why this is such an amazing opportunity,
Absolutely.
because it's paying for most of it. And $5 is so reasonable. Students can handle that, no problem.
Yeah, my one concern is just,
Making sure.
Yes,
that
and that's my concern
dumb
too.
red tape doesn't hurt you.
We'll explore every avenue to make sure that that happens.
okay, yeah, just because sometimes, but this sounds amazing. I think this is fantastic. Thank you for
Of course.
having the initiative to go out and apply for this very competitive grant. Thank you for getting
Well,
this
thank you.
competitive grant. And I do, like I said, I think we live so close
Yes,
to
agreed.
where American history started.
Mhm.
Not close enough for Lunenburg troops to get there. That's enough to fight it. So I think it's amazing that you get to take them.
We have one question.
Yeah.
I know it's only $5, but let's say a student didn't have the $5. Is there a way?
I mean, I would probably
Is there
help them out,
a way?
but, yeah.
Or like maybe another parent could offer to.
And that has happened. We've had that in the past happen where, you know, students are open to paying for other students or parents volunteer. And sometimes that happens without us even knowing.
Yes, that's something just in general, I know we've had a ton on our plates, but it's something I would really like the school district to begin to do, is to allow, like, actually just write on the field trip forms if you'd like to donate to cover another child. As I think Laura told me, they do
Yes.
that at Parker,
Yeah,
where
they do.
her daughter goes.
Yep, when
We've
you,
done that in other districts.
Yeah, and I just think it's something like a lot of parents might just say yes. And, you know, would have to have some sort of, I guess, you know, maybe if we had too many donors, where it would go or whatever, but I would really like the schools to try to
Yeah.
figure something out.
Yeah.
like
when you
that.
fill out the permissions form, there's a
Yeah.
little checklist that says, I would like to pay all of or partial for
Okay.
another student to
Yeah.
attend, and then you can either pay all of it or you can do another
Like a
donation.
partial donation, yeah.
Liz, would we be able to draft a policy that allows us to do that in the policy subcommittee and bring it to the full school committee?
Sure,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we talked about that.
We had talked about it.
Yeah, 'cause
Can I-
$5 to pay for someone else.
Yeah, I mean,
We could
and for some people that might be nothing, and some people that might be a lot,
Right, exactly,
so,
and if there's a family that's willing to, you know,
yeah.
But thank you for
Thank
keeping
you.
it so reasonable. And so, is it all day?
Yes, we would be leaving here at 8 a.m. and then coming back for the buses at 2:30.
It's good timing. And they'll bring lunches and
Yes.
we'll do the hot lunch thing.
Is there any need for chaperone?
Yes, so there will be 3 spots for chaperones. So if you're interested, you can certainly, I mean, ask your son if he wants to have
He's a
you tag
TikTok,
along.
he'll never remember.
Yeah, right. But yeah, we're open to 3 chaperones. I honestly can't remember if I'm included in that number. So I'd have to double check, but I think there's either 53 spots on the bus or 52. I can't remember, but yeah, I'm looking at 3 chaperones.
I'll put my name in.
Okay.
Is it one bus?
It is one bus, yep. And I have the perfect number. I have 20 students in AP and a total of 28 in my US history. So if everyone goes, that's a good number for us and chaperones.
Is that definitely going to happen next year though?
It's
The same number? Oh, you're doing it this year?
I'm doing it in May of this year.
Oh, okay,
Yes. And I mean, you are more than welcome to apply for these grants every year, but
Yeah.
they obviously give preference to schools who
Yeah.
haven't
yeah, who haven't.
gotten it yet. But I mean, I wouldn't mind trying again,
Have you
especially if
taken-
it's successful.
Have you taken a class there before?
I've never taken a class there before, no. So, I mean, it'll be an adventure, but I'm
I
excited.
think this is so worthwhile. We live so close, and to take them there is, I got to go to one in high school.
Yeah.
I want to commend you for something, that the place-based learning and like putting things in, like giving them real context makes a huge difference. Like, I mean, my son is in your class, those are the lessons that really stick out for him. I can tell you that, like, you know, we watched Glory on Martin Luther King Day weekend, and my 5th grader, it really had an impact on. We've gone to the Martin Luther King Memorial in Boston Common. Like, just being in those places and putting context to history really, really makes a difference. And so this is a great idea. I will bend the will of the universe to make sure that red tape does not mess you up.
I really appreciate it. That means a lot to me. So thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for
So we
doing
have
it.
to
Do you,
vote?
is this an action item?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to approve the acceptance of the American Battlefield Trust grant reimbursement for the field trip to Minuteman Battlefield.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, discussion on outsourcing facilities and grounds. That's the next item.
So the committee has a memo in last week's packet that I wrote recommending that we not take this action because of many of the reasons that the AFSCME rep stated earlier. We will never get the quality of employee that we currently have working for an agency. From our crews that were out 2 hours early this morning, making sure that your kids didn't fall on their heads coming in to school, to what I see. We have Deluma, who makes adorable, no-cost toilet paper snowmen to make the teachers happy. Jimmy G, who I see greeting the students in the morning, to Jose playing his ukulele and singing for the kids. These aren't things that you can put a price tag on. These are things that are part of the fabric of the Lunenburg community. I reached out to my fellow superintendents, and the data that I received back from them was they're either also exploring this idea or they outsourced and it was a disaster, and they're in the process of undoing that. I heard back from about 12 of my colleagues when I put that out there. I also have been, and this is just a perfect example of what you won't get, I had been working with a company to put a number value on it so I could give you a net savings, not the gross savings, and I haven't heard back from them. So if that is the company that's managing people that are in our schools, that is not a very favorable sign. And this is actually one of the smaller companies that I reached out to purposely and to see if we could get the same scope and feel. But this is a move that I think in the long run will end up costing us money and not saving us money.
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
If we did, like, the cost driver that was mentioned at the tri-board meeting was the cost of pensions. And they were basically conceding that the cost of the replacement would be roughly the same. So we wouldn't see any savings year over year, but it would be a savings over time in the pension payments. The question I have is, if we were to do this and disband the knowledgeable, competent, and integrated work staff that we have and rely on a third party, what's to prevent that third party from doing to us in the grounds and maintenance what the bus companies do to us in transportation?
Nothing.
I was thinking about this, number one, the security issue.
Mm-hmm.
When your office moved to Turkey Hill, I went to the wrong door on the first time. Oh, one of you guys met me there. Like, who are you? Why are you here? And I was like, oh, no, you, very first line of defense when it comes to who should be in the schools, knowing the students, knowing who should be there. Not saying that's your job, but saying you do it anyways. And the other thing was, I was thinking about, this was before I was on the school committee, it was several years ago. We had a stretch in May when it was brutally hot, or June, it was brutally hot, and the kids were just, Turkey Hill gets so hot. And it was awful, like the kids were melting, Turkey Hill's got no air conditioners, some of the kids were having class in the foyer in the front so they could sit on the slate floors and get some coolness. And at one point, I think they took a field trip over to the auditorium at the other school, because that's how hot it was. And Dr. Burnham told me how maintenance was showing up at like 4 in the morning, setting up fans and funneling the cool evening air, the cool night air through the school, but you can't do that when nobody's there, and you guys did it, and they were doing it late at night, and first of all, it was maintenance's idea to do that, to keep the schools, because you cared, and to work those kind of hours to get a few degrees more of coolness so kids could stay healthy and not be fainting from heat exhaustion. We wouldn't get that from a contractor. I'm not even sure, we wouldn't get those ideas, we wouldn't get the creativity, which I think in the long run does save us money. I'm thinking of when you moved offices and suddenly, they needed some heat adjustments and the windows are not typical windows. And, I think it was, I'm not sure, I think it was Chris, somebody built the boards to go in the windows to jury fit it because we don't have the money to be buying the specialized products that will fit in there. And then, the heater coil fabrication that we just talked about last month, whose idea was?
Tim, I believe.
It was Tim's idea to do the fabrication because they don't make those anymore, and that saves us a lot of money.
I think, I'm just gonna go back to this morning and snow and ice removal.
Yeah.
That is something that would be an added cost to any contract that we had. I know there's people sitting in this room that have been up since 4 o'clock working this morning to make sure that your kids got to school. And I think it's important. They often go unseen and unrecognized by the public because they're so good at what they do. And the value add is not always recognized. And in a way, I'm glad we're having this conversation because we can publicly acknowledge what they add to the fabric of our schools. But this is a decision that I would caution against.
I understand. The finance committee has been pushing a little bit for more outsourcing, and I am a little, not in this case, convinced on the argument for outsourcing in some cases because we don't carry, the town carries the pension cost, we carry the health insurance cost, the benefits cost, the OPEB costs are, we carry that, it adds to it. But when we're hiring a third-party company to give us that product, that cost has to pass somewhere, or it's not a benefit the employees will be getting that the employees need. So by adding another layer to the relationship, we're losing and they're losing, and this does not seem like a smart move. I think, I understand the want to outsource, and
But can you, because I haven't heard one positive thing about doing it, actually. Like, this whole conversation, I haven't heard one thing about why it would be a great idea, other than
so when we
that
have
possible
people
net
working
savings
for
that
us
we
and
don't
then,
know about.
and then they retire, the town pays for their health insurance
Yep.
forever. And there's long-term costs associated with that, and finance committee sees a lot of the pressure on that side of things because the school has so many more employees. There's a financial pressure.
I think the other things outweigh that.
They do,
in
they
my mind.
absolutely do. I think they do.
Sorry.
Especially in this case.
It's important to acknowledge, and I know many people, we are a business, right? We have a multi-million-dollar budget. We are a business, but we can't operate all the time like corporate America.
Yeah.
So where this might make sense in a corporation,
Yeah.
it does not make sense in the business where you're dealing with children. And, as Kara said, having relationships, personal relationships with our custodial crew, and getting to know them. I just think, you're absolutely right, Laura, it's the pension and the OPEB costs that the town is concerned.
So we don't carry that in our budget. That is on the town side of things, so we don't see that financial pressure, which is why the finance committee brings it up sometimes. I think it is a valid argument in some way, but I do think in this case it certainly does not overweigh the human cost. And I think it's such a necessary and vital position that we don't mess around with it by outsourcing it. Is this an action item, or was this
It's just a discussion.
for our edification? Okay, yeah, because I would not support this.
I agree with everything everyone has said. I just think the one thing about discussing it is we are in a very bad spot, right? So I think we can't put a quantitative number on it.
And I don't think it's the right call, but I just think that the public needs to know we are in a bad spot, right? Like, this would not be something that we would be bringing up, right, if we were not really continuing to feel the financial pressures.
It was a discussion brought up by the
But
financial.
by the finance committee.
By the financial restraints we're under.
Yes.
Because of the tight budget.
It's
really-
not, I mean, I don't think it's the right call, but I think, I feel like I'm always the one up here saying, like, we're in a bad space, but like, I just think that that's where, we're in a bad place. And
I agree that we're in an untenable
Financial situation, yeah.
Financial situation, and that something has to break, but I don't think that, just as
Yeah.
I don't think social workers is the way to go, I don't think that this is the way to go, in my opinion, based on Google Leominster Public Schools, when Leominster tried to do this.
Yeah,
It
I
was a
looked up a
disaster.
bunch of schools.
Yeah,
that
no,
were
and I
undoing it, or
trust
they
your-
tried it for a year.
Yeah.
It's not something that I think is being successful.
and I trust your, and so I just don't want.
I don't want people to think it's great and we're not looking at things.
Right,
We are
exactly,
getting
no, and
hard.
I think the public does, I guess what I'm trying to say is the public deserves us looking at everything,
Mhm.
right, and so that's.
We're gonna make
part of-
everyone mad
Right, I mean,
by the
eventually,
end of this.
one of these conversations is gonna be, we're gonna have to vote for it. So I just think that's my point, right? I'm not saying I want to vote for this, I think this is not the right call. But eventually, there's gonna be something I also don't think is the right call, that we're probably gonna have to,
So one thing that I would like to hear more about is the cost savings that in-house custodial staff save building administrators.
That's a great point.
So, in doing the research ahead of tonight, there were a lot of places that offered custodial services, and some of them were pointing out, and I think this is not good for their outsourcing case, that 15% of time for building administrators is dedicated to custodial maintenance issues. And if we have to take that time away from our highest paid and most important employees and have them spend, more time, like 20% of their time, because now they have to interface with a company that interfaces with the custodial staff. Are we really gonna save money doing that? I just, if Mr.
Company
Sanders.
doesn't get back to you as well.
Right, like if Mr. Santry says, go take care of something in the gym, like if we have an outsourced unit, like somebody will have to show me, okay, this is the gym, and when I say the gym, I actually mean the weight room, and the weight room has these things, all of those things that the people that are here already know. And I think that, comparing us to a business is helpful in one sense, in that it gives us some sort of orientation for our budget. But if you look at other entities like us, it's over and over again, it doesn't seem like the outsourcing of, tasks like this, where, the personal touch, the people involved make a difference. If we were making widgets, I would be more inclined to look at outsourcing, but we are making educated children. And so, I don't know in the end if it's gonna save us anything, especially if it means that the most critical people in our system, which are already overtaxed, and that means the building administrators, are compelled to deal with a layer of bureaucracy that they currently don't have. What did we do? And then I also have the fear of, the bus company problem rearing its head in another way. The more that we go towards outsourcing, the more our school budget and our town budget are vulnerable to the whims of a company. I think, Chris, please correct me if this is wrong, but you were looking for the information for D-Bus, and it looks like it's a 15% increase.
Correct.
That outstrips inflation by a factor of 5. And if we open ourselves up to yet another essential service being outsourced, we could have a problem where, instead of going to FinCon, going to the select board, and going to town meeting and explaining healthcare we can't control, busing we can't control, and utilities and heat we can't control. Now we're gonna add a 4th thing to that list. The less control we have over those things, the less nimble we can be when the time gets tough. So I haven't ruled, I haven't made up my mind, like, very clearly I'm in favor. But I think that there are arguments that people could make that would be convincing. I haven't heard them. Like, if somebody came to me and said,
Right.
we'll save, $2 million next year, maybe, but like, I don't know how they would do that math. Like, I just don't know how they would get
You
there.
also, it's hard to quantify
Sure.
the human element
Sure.
and the agility of the school system to respond.
The future risk thing is always, like, the busing thing, Massachusetts has a historic problem with busing. Mandy tipped me off to this, I did like a deep dive, it is clearly because of the mafia families in New York sending people up here. Not that all busing was mafia related.
You've just been thinking.
That's true, isn't it? We're gonna get, if we end up dead, it's because the mafia owns the
Sure,
bus company.
but what I'm trying to say is, like, I don't wanna expose
I mean, I feel
us-
like if
They
you're
own
the
the
mafia,
elevator company.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the mafia.
I don't wanna expose us
You
to
know?
the same vulnerabilities that we have with the busing company.
Yeah, no, I think
Actually,
that's a
with
good
another
point.
service.
The elevator company is a good point because we
Don't get me
we
started.
outsource our elevator
No, they're not
maintenance.
anymore?
We
They charge whatever they want.
we outsource the elevator maintenance and we are at their mercy.
Is that
Yeah, that's why it's been so expensive.
Oh, I hate that
Okay, so there you
elevator.
go, there's
That's why
your,
for most of the year we only had one of our elevators working.
yeah, I don't think you got the votes for it, so.
Okay. I don't know.
That's fine.
This is a discussion, but is this ultimately our vote, or does this go somewhere else?
No, this is
This is
ultimately
our-
your vote.
This
It's
is our
our
decision.
purview, it's not on there as a vote,
I don't
and
know if
if no one
was a
wants to
bigger
make a motion, then we're not gonna
thing.
do it, and also we don't have the.
And here's the other thing, I wanna make sure that we are clear about our roles. This came up at FinCom on Thursday, but based on the charter, we have an obligation to consult with FinCom. We do not have an obligation to do what they say. I think for the purpose of Comity, we should certainly accept all of their ideas and solicit them to give us new ideas. But if after deliberations, we have decided that it's not something we should do, the charter ends
Yeah.
with us, right? So we have the role of deciding that.
FinCom is an advisory board.
I just want to say, I work in a school, and we have had a rotating circulation of custodial staff. We have not enough maintenance, and every time there's a problem, I have to put in a ticket. And I don't know who it goes to. Occasionally, it just gets randomly canceled because that's another person's job. It has changed 4 times in 4 years.
Yeah.
So that's what you're looking at.
Is it outsourced?
Yes. And our facilities director keeps trying to find a new one that's better.
Well,
I think what we got is,
I think we have discussed this enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure if it needs to be put back on the agenda for a vote.
no, I certainly don't see a scenario where I would support it. Thank you guys for
I
coming.
think we're gonna do that thing where you convince me.
Oh, yeah, I've been on this, yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah, come up to the, do you wanna come up to the mic?
It's just very short.
I'm sorry, I know, it's the, they
It's
can't
the
hear,
people at
they
home.
can't
It's the
hear
people at
home,
home.
and then they text us and say we can't hear.
If the decision, God forbid, is made to outsource the custodial, when would these folks get to know that information? Do you know when it would go to a vote?
It would come to a vote when we vote the final budget, which won't be for a little bit yet.
Like a month, 2 months, 3 months?
I think we'll probably get there at the beginning of April is what I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody wanna talk about this anymore?
No?
Nope, we're good.
Me neither.
I don't think it, like you said, I don't think it needs to go back on an agenda. I think we discussed it and it's not a good idea.
Sounds good. All right, let's move on to the next thing on the agenda, which is old action, or old business. It's an action item for the 2027 budget and then a facilities update. If we take the facilities update out of order, will that allow people to go home early?
Yes, all right, motion to move it out of order. He needs to go to bed. They've been up.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a really
Let's
long
get,
time.
let's get people to bed if they need to go to bed.
All right, yeah, do we have to vote on that?
I would ask for a motion to change the
So
order of the
moved.
agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Am I supposed to?
Aye.
Yes.
So,
All right, let's do the facilities update first.
I'm usually the second. Chris, just not doing my job tonight.
You also have a copy of this in your folders.
You put your order, sorry.
All right, as for the capital projects, the primary weatherization, which is the final part of the Capital Green Communities projects, have been completed. National Grid has come and done all inspections of the BMS system running in conjunction with the boiler system and has released their reimbursement check to the town of Lunenburg for the sum of $43,035. We got the check unfortunately the other day and it was written out to the primary school, so we actually had to get back in touch with them and to rewrite the check to the town of Lunenburg. So we should have it by next week. So that marks the final completion of the capital projects. Facilities, I'm sorry.
That's all the capital?
Everything has been done.
That's
Done.
great.
That was the last of it. We were waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally they came a couple weeks ago and finished the weatherization on a few doors at the primary school. And
We
getting the
have,
inspection for the BMS and all that, those are the only things. Other than that,
and we have no more outstanding capital projects.
nope, they're all got finished. They're all done.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Because we have been waiting quite a while.
right.
There have been a lot of pending capital
Yep.
projects, and a lot of them got done this summer.
Yeah, it was a
and-
busy summer. It was very busy. But yeah, everything just, for the most part, it worked out.
It's
Usually
amazing.
doesn't happen that good, but there was a few little bumps in the road here and there, but nothing that big.
We're usually in May worrying about the last minute budget items up to the town meeting and then also worrying about where the capital projects are.
Yeah, right.
So to have the budget as far along as it is and the capital projects to be done,
Yeah,
pretty nice.
wash our hands of it.
Yes.
As for facilities, he has been working with IT to have the BMS system, which is located here on a PC in Renee's office.
What is the VMS system?
It is the building management system for the HVAC. It's just where we can go in on a computer and we can move the heat, we can bump the heat up, turn it off, do whatever we need to do, figure out what's not working, and it'll give us alarms and tell us some kind of sensor or something's on the fritz, and this building's smarter than you think it is. It's a lot smarter than I am. Anyway, so we need to move this system over. Every time we lose power or whatnot, the system crashes. Next thing you know, we go to get in, Tim, and we can't access it. And I gotta get on the horn with Jordan. He gets on the horn with Walter. He knows what's going on. So anyway, it's on an old computer and it's basically at the end of its life and it needs to get moved off of that. And are we putting it onto the servers here?
I believe so, yes.
Yes.
Is that one of our servers or is that a cloud server?
It would
think it's
be
one of
one of
ours.
our servers.
The cloud server was a lot more money, I believe. It was
Also,
a lot more
not a
money.
good
So
idea.
we went with the bottom.
That would be a
Get us.
hilarious thing to hack.
Yeah.
It is a very common thing because people don't expect it. Okay, so that's just gonna be on a server here.
Yeah, it'll be more reliable at this point. So, where was it? Yes, so.
yeah, the cost.
Galaxy Technologies has given us the quote, $3,200, and we're working with IT on getting that taken care
And
of.
we have the money to do that?
Yes.
So anytime I see that,
It's one of those things where if we don't do it now, it'll be too late kind of.
Yeah, no,
thing.
no,
So,
we should do
yeah,
it.
yeah, this is an important one.
I just wanted to make sure.
We had all the emergency signs, we had a lot of backup batteries at Turkey Hill for the light up emergency signs. We had the guys go through and replace all the backup batteries on those, so when anything happens, it goes out, they'll be lit right back up. With all the melting and freezing, we got roof leaks everywhere. Between us and contractors, we've been staying on top of those.
Can you go back to the bathrooms for ADA compliance, the sinks?
Yes, but I skipped that.
Start-
Oh, yeah.
Second paragraph.
I'm sorry, yep. We got pricing to replace sinks in the boys and girls bathrooms to make them ADA compliant.
Is that at
all
Turkey Hill?
schools?
And that's at Turkey Hill.
Okay.
That's to get the sinks in those 4 gang bathrooms. The staff bathrooms are pretty much already all set.
Okay.
But the gang bathrooms need to be brought up. And
Oh, those weird sinks are going away?
yes, those old
Trough
ones,
sinks?
yeah. Yep,
So cool.
those will be going away. I think they were looking at putting in a one-piece unit that has a ADA sink on one
Okay.
side and a regular one on the other side.
Yeah.
So kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
What is that?
And so that'll cost 26,000.
That was at a cost it
Kim,
was,
where's that coming out of?
So we're hoping this is what we were talking about,
Yeah.
rewriting the earmark for.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, hopefully the heating and electricity won't throw us too off in the budget, and
Yeah.
hopefully we'll have money left over in FY '26.
I think this is too important to not do.
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out.
This is gotta be
like,
number 1.
At this point, not doing it because we can't afford it is a
Mhm.
bad idea.
I agree.
So this, we will just figure out.
What's the idea of harvesting stuff from Passios?
so Passios gang bathrooms over there, all the hardware for the bathroom stalls and everything, they're already ADA over there. They have the big doors to be able to go in.
Oh.
So, and it's in great shape, so
if the
we're
town
just gonna
lets take-
yard that out of
Have you
there.
talked to
And I
Chris?
think there's enough over there. I talked to Chris and
Yeah.
What did he
he's
say?
like, if you leave me a door or 2, that'd be cool. Just in case.
The food pantry,
But this is in the
It's
wing
not-
where they have it shut
Okay,
down. They're
okay,
not
I'm
even
like,
using.
it's not
This
even
is
in the area.
This
If
is
you
in
said
the
we
storage,
should-
yeah. They put a wall up and lock the
Yeah.
door and shut the
Oh, in the
heat
back
off and
there.
drain the water system out. So this stuff's just sitting there.
Yeah.
whose
That's a
idea
great
was that? Whose
Yeah.
idea was that?
Chris's.
How much money would that save us?
Oh, I got him. I can find that out. I will get on the horn
That's a
with a
great
company
idea.
that does
It's
that.
a great idea. I
but
mean,
I
let's just do
absolutely
it.
love that.
Thousands,
Yeah.
thousands,
Let's do it.
thousands.
Not sending stuff to a landfill and reusing
Yeah,
what we
I
already
mean,
have.
I've installed those before, so between
Yeah.
me and we'll get it done over the summertime.
Are the sinks there ADA compliant?
Those sinks, a lot of those,
No.
those sinks are,
Because they're ancient.
it's not even that they're ain't, but they're always problematic.
Okay.
We've had problems with
I was
them
just-
left, because they have the sensors and everything.
Oh, yeah.
It's just,
But at least
you
the
know,
door is in
reinventing
the
the wheel.
wall. So.
No,
All the
do it-
doors, the walls, the pilasters, all the hardware, grab bars, it's all there. The only thing we might have to buy is a couple of mirrors, maybe, and a couple of toilet seats to bring the seat up on a toilet, but other than that, I've already talked to the building inspector. He's good, because we might have to end up illuminating one stall, like one toilet in the boys,
Yeah.
to make that happen. But other than that, and he's like, well, as long as there's not a line going out the
Yeah,
doors
have you
ever.
talked
And
to
I'm like, I've never seen a line going out
Have
the
you
door,
talked to
so I
Mr.
think we'll
Vaughn
be fine.
about the logistics of getting rid of a stall?
Yes.
Okay. That's fantastic.
So,
That
yeah,
would be amazing.
other than
Love
that,
that.
I mean, basically those costs, that 26,000, and then they wouldn't be, it'd be minuscule after that, if all
Okay.
that works out. And
Let's do it.
And that's to be this summer, as soon as.
yeah, as soon as school's out, I'm gonna probably have them go over as soon as the weather starts to get a little better, and have maintenance go over and just start dismantling everything and get it brought over to Turkey Hill, put all the hardware in boxes and put all the doors and pile them up, and we'll reassess when the time's right. when we'll go in.
Fantastic.
That's
Thank you.
great.
Thank you
Great
very
idea.
much.
So yeah, and then like I said, with all the melting and freezing, we've had roof leaks going on everywhere, and I'm sure, and we're at the very beginning of it right now, since it's warming up, and there's a whole lot of snow up there, so.
Do you have to get
Um,
up there and shovel it off when it gets?
We have in some spots where it's safe enough to get up there, but I've had contractors go up in some of the areas where we know it's probably coming from a roof drain, and it needs to be reflashed.
Is it flat up there?
Yeah.
Is it rubber membrane? Is it-
Yeah, you know,
Why do we
good
do
old
this?
flat roofs in New England.
Roll
you gotta love
roofing.
it.
Why do we do that?
I don't know either.
Everybody does that, every school.
The primary isn't.
Nope, the
They have
primary
other
is,
problems.
it has some, and there's leaks over there too, they're
I
everywhere.
don't understand flat roofs in New England.
Yeah, I
just-
don't either.
Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make this, one extreme to the other.
Best part about the triangle roofs is that
My high school calls it evacuating.
Yeah.
There was so much snow load on there.
So we've been taking care of those issues, and they'll keep coming up, but we've been staying on top of it for the most part, so it's not that big a deal. But, during the cold snap a few weeks back, we lucked out, we went around, Tim and myself, we went through, put all the boilers on manual during those cold weeks there, put everything in hand, and just basically put it in occupy for everything, so that all the water just keeps circulating, hot water, and lucky for us, we no issues
That's
with
good.
all that. There's a lot of schools that could say different, I'll tell you that, I'm feeling it.
What is a univent?
The univent's like the heating system in the classrooms, you know, like in the bookshelf thing, and then you see.
Oh, yeah.
That's like
got
a
it.
univent, or the thing in the ceiling that's,
Got it.
you look up and it's blowing down, those.
Okay.
And they got motors and belts, and
Okay.
they're, in the wintertime, they're running like nonstop, so you end up burning motors out and burning belts out, if not both. Usually the motor goes and then it takes the belt with it and whatnot. So we've been replacing those as needed. I just hooked up with another vendor that supplies those, because a lot of times you can't get them. You have to go through an HVAC company to get them. I found one that we can get them ourselves and do them at a fraction of the cost. And instead of paying $1,800 for an HVAC company to come in, it's costing us like $300 or $400 to go get parts. And
That's a good deal.
Tim over there, my guy over there, he's pretty good. It swaps them out and whatnot, so it saves a lot of money. So we've had one resignation, Dustin Travaglia, he was at primary, great kid, did a great job. He just got a job closer to home, he's got youngins, so that was the only problem there. And we had a new hire that replaced John Conway here, Ryan Lizick, I believe his mother works here, I believe. He seemed like a great candidate. Worked over at Market Basket, so give him the opportunity. I think he's going to do good things here. And we have an open position, full-time evening custodian at the primary. I think we just filled it today. So
So we have no open positions?
So right now,
So
I
is the
think we are.
Dustin's position open?
This is the one that just
That's
just
the
put
one.
his resignation in, and we just handed out offered the job today to somebody. So.
Okay.
We have
Things are going good.
That's new.
That is new.
I mean,
Yeah.
not for this year, but like, there have been other years that has not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been staying right on it. It's,
Excellent.
you know,
I
so
noticed too,
we're in-
I was in here for something else and fantastic it
Yeah.
came here.
We need it, you know, we can't afford to have it too much downtime with that, because trying to cycle people in, a couple hours here, a couple hours there, they're not getting,
Yeah.
the building's not getting what it needs, you
Well,
know.
last year was a rough year for you
Yeah.
guys.
You know, but we got a bunch of great new hires, and they're doing fantastic, so
Okay,
can't be happier.
is this an action, do we have to vote?
Yes.
Oh, question.
Are there any questions about the report?
No?
I would like to see a motion to approve the report.
Motion to accept the facilities report with our gratitude.
Second?
All in favor?
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
All right.
All right, let's go to the next one.
Thank you, Chris.
FY '27 budget.
Oh, good now.
More budgets.
Less good news.
Chris, come on.
See money, come on up.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
So in your folder tonight, you had an updated FY '27 projection. Chris highlighted all the things for you that have been changed. They are in yellow. They are mostly salaries. You'll see there, we needed to adjusted the high school principal and assistant principal salary line that was over budgeted and previously. So that is going to result in a savings of $72,695. And then a cost to the budget is we need to factor in the teacher salary adjustments for education. So this is for teachers that move from like a master's 5 to a master's 15.
We hadn't already.
We hadn't already
No,
calculated
because
that in.
I was finalizing it.
Do you have an easy way to do that, or is it by hand?
It's by hand.
Do we have some sort of
So-
program that does, because
I'm trying to figure out in Munis if that will calculate, but for example, if a teacher goes from just a master's level 0 and their education bumps up more than to the 15,
yeah.
I don't know if Munis can do that calculation. I'm still trying to figure that out right now.
I feel like that would be programmable, but you don't have time to sit there and do it because that would be a bunch of work.
Yeah.
Because those are complicated, and for the public's edification, because I didn't always know this, when a teacher raises are based on how many longevity, how long they've been here, how many years.
Yeah.
And as they get continuing education credits, they bump up in the column. So it adjusts their salary upwards with each year that they're here and with the amount of education, postgraduate, is that what we call it? Postgraduate education they get, which makes it difficult to always know and calculate ahead of time. And sometimes those bumps are decent size, and if we have enough people doing that, then it makes it hard to do exact budgeting. But again,
We're
we
trying.
mostly deal with people and
Mhm.
students, and exact budgeting is never going to happen.
May I ask, on average, how many staff members are getting bumped per year?
It depends on the year, Kara. So every year until they reach what we call step 13, we call them steps and lanes. So every year until they reach step 13, they get a cost of living raise. And then, depending on what continuing education, what graduate classes they're taking, they can move over the columns on the counter. We call that a lane increase. And so it depends. Some years we have bigger years, some years we have smaller years. There is a notification date within their contract that they have to notify if they intend to move lanes. However, sometimes teachers that intended to don't. So that makes this more of a fluid type
But
thing.
you guys do already know kind of the maximum amount of teachers that might be.
No, because it can vary every year. It could be all of a sudden all of our teachers go
Wouldn't they have
from-
all have already put in their intention to bump lanes by this point in the?
Oh, I see what you're asking.
Like-
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But you have to understand too that this information is all collected via paper and needs to be transferred and translated. We use a lot of paper. Needs to be inputted in, transferred into a usable format for our finance director. For Liz has a lot to do with this. Penny in our office has a lot to do with this as well. So it's a pretty labor-intensive process.
And they're teachers, so they love going back to school.
Yes.
Taking more classes.
I'm really surprised at the teachers. I'm surprised that we have the column, Masters plus 75.
That's 75 credits.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is
That's
a lot.
75
That's more than a doctorate.
Yeah, that's a master's degree and then 75 more credits. And do we have more teachers than normal that do this? I feel like we have a lot of teachers that continue their education above and beyond.
I can tell you how many did it
Chris
this year.
can tell you.
They just
I knew you'd be able to.
like learning in school.
I believe it's 27.
Wow, 20.
It's crazy. That's a lot.
But no, I just wanted to highlight that this is one of the things that makes exact budgeting
Very difficult.
very difficult. And that it's a constantly moving organism.
Yes. The other issue is some reorganization of the athletic department. I don't know if the committee wants to discuss that tonight. You have a memo in your packet, or
Is that
do you
an
want
action
to?
item, or is this, would be
We're
rolled into the
showing
budget?
you, we're showing you what it would look like if it were rolled into the budget.
I think we should absolutely discuss it.
Sure,
Do
so
you wanna discuss it now, or do you wanna move on?
let's do it now. The proposal is to do what?
The proposal is to move from an athletic trainer model to an EMT model for the sports that we're required to have some level of medical supervision at. We currently contract with a doctor at UMass who is available. He actually is at our football games for the students.
I believe the athletic trainers who connected us with that doctor.
I believe he is. We have outstanding athletic trainer with amazing credentials.
His credentials are ridiculous.
Yes.
He is very
He was
beloved in
at
this
Alan Puja's medical staff.
Yes, he is absolutely amazing, but when we are charged with looking at things, this is
Oh, I
one of
know.
the things that we decided to look at. We had some experience with contracting this year, and we, working with Mrs. Burns, we figure we can cover this, just the sports that we're required to. So it's a lower level of service, just the sports that we're required to for $9,000. What we lose is an athletic trainer has the ability to evaluate a student and decide whether they can return to the game, whereas a licensed EMT can only determine if they need further medical evaluation after an injury. They can't decide if they're okay to return to a game. The other con.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
And Coach, you might be able to help us on this.
Sure.
What's the effect of switching to the EMT model on being able to field a team? So if they can't, I'm assuming that if they can't say they're eligible to return to play, that means they're pulled, they're out?
Mhm.
Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but until they get assessed.
Yes.
But like they're out for that game, they're not coming
What
back.
happens if someone
Right.
gets a head injury, the EMT says you don't need to go to the hospital, but they're out of the game, and then I just, oh man.
They just sit there?
Yeah.
Can I throw something in?
Sure.
I don't know if you want to talk.
Yes,
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Yeah. Pull up another.
Yeah, and again, part of this too is not, like, if we had this out service that was the EMT, that's for games. What we're not factoring in here too is, like, on a daily basis, the attention that the athletic trainer provides to our student athletes too is insurmountable. Like, we can have somebody that's covering us. I figured I was loud enough in the world. Let's see. You're all set. Thanks. When we talk about this EMT service that we could be doing, this is for games, this is like on a week-to-week basis, obviously, but what it's not factoring in is, like, in this situation that something could be happening in practices on a day-to-day basis. Like we said too, this EMT service could be telling us if a student is able to return to play or if they're getting injured within competitions. It's not factoring in if any of these variables, which could possibly happen in practices, are also not happening in practices. So this is a service that, you know, we as coaches, we can, you know, we're trained to identify if there are certain things that we feel like a kid is not suitable to participate or play, and that's our job as coaches. But to have that resource that is professionally trained and has the experience as somebody like Dave does, that's a resource that we are desperately in need of, that's going to really harm us if we move to this other option.
So is the model that you're proposing that we have only an athletic director, no athletic trainer, and then use the EMTs at the required places?
Correct.
Have you looked at, I mean, I know we've talked about this, but have we looked at splitting it as an athletic trainer or athletic director position?
They're two very different skill sets. In order to be
Okay.
able to fill that, we'd have to find a unicorn.
Okay.
And I don't think that we would be able to fill those roles.
Okay.
And to be honest, I'm not sure that someone who could fill both those roles would want to come here with the budget uncertainties and the way the staff morale from the constant threat of cuts. We're not a very competitive employer right now because of the uncertainty. I think they would probably choose to go somewhere that was a little more stable.
If I can mention another fact of this too, one of the things that's mentioned in the question and answer that you guys did with FinCom as well too, as far as what's required for competition too, you need to have somebody on site in order to have the competition. If you are unable to, you have to forfeit as the home sport. The thing that we could run the risk of is because, and we've seen this at other times too, where like we have competed against other teams, we've competed against other programs that have followed a model similar to what you guys are suggesting here. And while, you know, again, we have a doctor that we've built a relationship with that's reliable, that's sturdy, that's also, and again, it's kind of going back to the bus thing, it's kind of going back to what we talked about with custodians, you are now putting it in jeopardy because you are reliant on an outside source. There's a rare chance, but it is a chance that if you aren't able to get staffing, you don't have somebody to represent, then you need to forfeit, and our kids are losing experiences because we can't staff.
And part of this, I can extrapolate on this con a little bit, is you're not contracting with the individual EMT. You're actually contracting with the EMS service.
Which is less.
Yeah.
So, my main concern with this, and at first I was like, oh, that's an excellent state, is the head injury part of it, is that I think that is vital. I think we have been very lucky in this district right now and had a long time without incidents, and I'm just so nervous because the way that sports are played now, we're playing on a turf field. I am so concerned about the head injuries, and I know 2 years ago, we had a school committee meeting where our doctor at UMass talked to us about the prevalence of head injuries. Really surprised about girls volleyball being as dangerous as it was. Like, and that really put into perspective for me. I mean, this is kind of the health and safety and potentially the lives of our students, and I don't know, I'm very nervous about this one, and I understand why, and the net savings is a lot, but I'm so nervous about head injuries. I also do want to say, for people watching, because I know we're going to get sports parents and sports students, because our trainer is extremely popular and does a fantastic job, that the hardest part about school committee is that we have to make decisions about positions, not people. And that is one of the most difficult things to do. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, the head injury thing, I don't know if I can get.
Do you mind if I ask the coach some questions?
No, go ahead.
So,
I'm sorry, I don't know what you coach.
I'm sorry, my name's Casey McDonald, I'm a teacher in the school,
Okay.
and I'm also the football coach.
Which is great, I just saw you.
Sorry.
How did you not know who he was? You're the biggest townie on the planet. Jeez, Mandy. This is the only
My
person.
kids aren't in high school yet.
This is the only person in all
Although
of
my son's in
Lunenburg
high
that you
school and I
didn't
didn't
know.
I don't know, if his last name is McDonald, is he a townie?
I just moved here like 4 years ago, so we're trying.
No, next year.
Yeah, a few more years to go.
Yeah, I still have a few initiations on
I know,
this. I had like half my family ended up moving to this town with me too, like, you know.
Oh, look at that.
No, we guys, so, not to get off topic, because Lord knows, like, you guys are here long enough as it was, but like, as we were moving here, like, my parents also moved here, my father is working in the school as well too, like.
No, I think that does make him.
Yeah, no, I feel
We're
like
trying.
you probably are gonna be a townie.
Wait, my wife's pregnant, so like, does the kid count as a town?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
oh, yeah, totally, totally.
I didn't know this birthright
do that. They
citizenship.
and then their family
I
moves
know,
here.
we're
too.
gonna go place.
Who's your dad if he works in the schools?
Mr. Mack, he works with the paraprofessionals.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
The guy that looks like me?
well, what
I'm
would
gonna
happen
ask.
if instead of doing the trainer thing, that we looked at the athletic transportation budget? Because that's the other item that's in. And so like, there are like two different ideas. Like the first idea would be well, 3 different ideas. The one that FinCom proposed was to take the cost and add it to the sports fee.
Mhm.
The problem with that is, I think that the cost would be so overwhelming that it would be essentially the same as cutting.
Yeah. I tell you right now, like the athletic fees is one of the biggest things we struggle with as far as like retention of student athletes, because there's so many kids that, especially in high school, there's a lot of kids that are on the bubble about whether they want to do a certain sport or not, and
It's
there
like-
is a chunk of kids that the minute you bring up
$600.
a fee, it's like it turns them away from the sport. You know what I mean?
That's
Um,
firehouse.
And that is a challenge. But sorry.
Okay, so the first model would be to take the cost of transportation and divvy it up by the number of student athletes and make it work that way. The second idea would be to, and this is the one that I'd like your input on, because that one is just, the other one's just a math problem. If there was some way to limit the travel, so like your team is a little different, but like my son is on the track team, and they go to Reggie like 4 or 5 weekends in a row, and as we drive out there, we probably pass 25 different tracks in different high schools that don't have the bank track feature that makes everybody want to run at Reggie. But if we had an agreement inside like the Mid-Watch League to limit travel, do you think that that would be enough to get the cost down in terms of athletic training? Because like it's all coming, you know, like we have it in these different pots, and one's a revolving account, and one's part of the line item in a budget. But ultimately, it's coming from the same pool of money, which is taxpayer dollars. And so if there's a way to like pair one off the other, could we make it like an agreement or a pact with other athletic directors and coaches to limit travel and save the money?
I'll be honest, and I think some of that is something that you might want to ask Ms. Burns about, who's, like, it's definitely a question that might be a little bit more for her than for me. But what I will say is, like, as far as transportation, at least from the perspective that I have as a football coach, like, I feel like there's definitely been an effort to help with that issue and try to remedy that issue a little bit. I know working with Ms. Burns as far as, like, our scheduling for the last 2 years, like, that's definitely been an effort, and with Mr. Bigelow the year before, too. That's been an effort to try and get things to become a little bit closer to home. You know, obviously, and you know, when I first came here, you know, we kind of were graced with.
What was the
Martha's Vineyard.
farthest place you guys go?
So now, the furthest one that we're set for next year will probably be, I want to say Leicester. But if you look at that in comparison, like when I first got here, we had a Martha's Vineyard trip that was put on, and obviously, like again, that was not. It wasn't the best thing to kind of like come into the town and be like, oh, hey, we are now bringing kids on a boat. We struggled to schedule the next year, and we ended up being stuck with the only game that was available, which was going to Nahant. So for 2 years in a row, we brought kids out that far. We have been trying desperately to get away from that. Successfully, the last 2 years, we have been able to get ourselves back to being a little bit more local. So I can only speak on behalf of what we've been doing with football, but as far as trying to find ways to get things to become much more local to solve some of that burden, it's definitely been an effort that we've been trying to put together.
I
So
think we might want to talk to the sports
Yeah.
parents. I think we need an info session, because I have questions and we don't have Peter to answer them.
And I really don't want to
I
make
actually
Deb mad.
said that.
no one
No.
else.
Still
Nobody
like-
wants to do that.
We love them. Too.
I guess, can I just, so, I think there's 2 things for me. The first thing is, I would like to fund all of these positions, but we have to be reasonable about what we ask for in an override, and I think that's one thing that, you know, because right now, we're still talking about an override budget, right? We're not talking about a
We're not even
budget.
talking about the cuts.
We aren't even talking about cuts, so I think that's something I'm always trying to reframe this conversation around, is, right, like, none of this is going to be possible, not none of this, but a lot of things we're even discussing are not going to be possible in a budget that does not include some sort of an override, right? So, I think my position, and my kids play sports, and my kid, God bless him, must decide to play football, but, and he's tiny, but,
He'll be fine.
oh yeah.
I got it. We're good.
They're training him as a safety, isn't it? But anyways, I just feel like it is very difficult for us to go to the town that we need a full-time athletic director and a full-time trainer. And that has just always been my position. It has nothing to do with the trainer, it has nothing to do with the athletic director, right? I just think that is a difficult sell. Now, if sports parents are so committed to this, right? Like, maybe we go back and include both in our override budget. But we need those votes. And like, I'm a member of this political committee, right?
we need people to vote for an override to be able to preserve those things, right? And I think that's just something that we can talk about rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, right? But if, you know, for 40 grand here and 50 grand there. But if we don't get an override, we're gonna be down like $1 million, $2 million. So I just think that's my thing. So, you know, I told Dr. Fortuna I am fine with this proposal. If she thinks this is the best way to go forward, it has absolutely nothing to do with the trainer, it has absolutely nothing to do with you know, sports and my kids playing sports, and they're gonna be here one day playing sports. But I just feel like we do need to figure out sort of something, and the sports transportation is so expensive. And people are already paying for their kids to go on our buses just to come to school, right? And we're already charging people for that, which nobody on this board wants to do. And I don't wanna do it either. It was my idea last year, but I wanted to preserve a, you know, a teacher. It's not like I wanna be paying for my kids to go, you know, on the bus. But, you know, going back to the data Dr. Fortuna has shown us about how terrible our reading scores are, right? Like, this is just, I have to protect the core of what school is. So I guess that's my thing. I'm fine if we, you know, if we think the town will take the extra 40 grand, right, in our override proposal. But I also think sometimes we have to be realistic. What are we asking for? And one thing, like, I think might be, you know, how much sports fees come in? What is the sports fees exactly paying for? That may be in the questionnaire. I didn't read it all. If the I didn't get through all the questions that the finance committee asked.
It's not.
But you know, like, if we're getting 20 grand in sports, I have literally no idea what we're getting sports fees. So, you know, we're getting 20 grand in sports fees, and this entire sports program is costing us $400,000, and we're charging, you know, right, and we're charging people to ride the bus to school for the regular school day. I just feel like something has to give. And so I guess that's my rant on
and
the
one
subject.
thing, if I can, with
Yeah.
that too, and obviously it's something that I've heard you say, like, almost ad nauseum, no offense, like, for the last 3 years, is like, everybody's gonna need to take a haircut, everybody's gonna need a haircut. And like, people are aware of that, and obviously, like, people are gonna come and fight for whatever they care about in each aspect. There's like, and I think people are aware and people are accepting of the fact that, like, there are going to be some sacrifices that have to get made in certain areas.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. Just when it relates to this with an athletic trainer position, the part that is concerning is going a lot back to what Laura had mentioned.
Right.
Brzezowski, I'm sorry, I was really afraid to butcher your last name, but.
No, that was perfect.
Oh, cool.
That was really good.
That is something that is revolving around our kids' safety. And while we as coaches are trained and certified to aid in that effort, we are talking about somebody who is on a daily basis focused on the well-being of our kids, that if we try to talk about this model where we are going to an outsourced EMT kind of a model, where our kids are not getting that more individualized attention, more day-to-day attention, there are a lot of things that are going to fall through the cracks if you do not have that attention. And I'll be dead honest with you, there's probably going to be some parents that do not want their kids to participate in sports if we do not have that service, because they're going to feel like their kids are not safe.
But the trainer's not at every game. We're still hiring people to go to games.
No, the trainer is at every game.
He's at every
He is
football
at every
game,
football game,
hockey
home
game,
and away.
Every
Yeah.
lacrosse.
No, but not every sports game.
No.
Just the
Because
ones
he
that-
can't be.
The ones with the highest risk.
No,
of
the
injuries.
MIAA requires them to be at certain things.
At certain
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
But
ones
he
with,
also goes to others, like he
Yeah.
goes to soccer.
but he
and
has
other
to be
concussion
the
risks.
ones with the highest risk of head injuries,
Yes,
which is
yes.
where the head injury thing really, I mean, I know kids who've been on the concussion protocol. I mean, can you talk about, we have students who have actual concussions
I know,
where
but I
that's
just,
followed up.
I hate to be that person, right? But I agree. I want a trainer. I want everything. I want more than we can give our kids, right? We were just told we can't outsource the custodians. I agree. I don't want to outsource the custodians. They seem amazing, right? They do great work. But we also are being told we have to cut $900,000 from our budget.
We're not talking about the cuts budget right now.
Right, but
We're talking
eventually
about the
that's going to be a
restoration
part of the
budget.
conversation.
Okay.
So,
Mrs. Burns just emailed me
Yes.
with a correction that Dave goes to every game for every sport.
Okay.
What?
oh my lord.
Yes.
How?
I would also
Is he
just like
secretly
to-
twins?
That's crazy.
I would also just like to mention that, I mean, like, the schools are not the only department struggling. I mean, like, our EMS services are so down right now. Our fire department isn't fully staffed. To be able to get an EMT at every game like Dave is probably gonna cost way more than it would to keep Dave here.
We also had an incident at a football game last year where
Yes.
Dave
Yeah.
was standing there at the exact right time.
Yeah. I mean, and again, not to like go back to like specific examples, but like with students, with everybody, we had a coach faint on a sideline,
Yeah.
and Dave is right on him.
That's what he's
Yeah.
right
Yep.
there.
Yeah.
And I
So Coach McDonald, I guess the question I have is sort of an overarching question. What can we do as a school committee to advocate for the student athletes in a way that helps convince the rest of the town? Because
Yeah, I mean,
if you
that's-
listen to the tenor of questions from FinCom, and this is their role, and I don't slight them for it, and, you know, I think Anna did a very good job of doing her research and showing where we were and comparing us to similar school districts. Like, we need ammunition, and we can't get it.
cutting this.
You guys have the ammunition, and, you know, like, to carry the metaphor forward, we have the gun, you have the bullets, we need the bullets.
But your metaphors got in trouble last time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
let's not, you know, let's
But
not.
like, we need you guys to
Let's
help
all
us
go back to
argue
shooting.
this
Yes,
to the town.
Cutting this
And-
position in the
What is it,
restoration
kittens?
override budget is not going to make it easier for people to advocate for the budget.
And I will say too, like, and I think this is obviously something that you guys have been juggling with a little bit too, where it's like, where's that line between like what you guys are legally allowed to communicate versus like, I feel like a lot of times in the last 3 years with this whole process, and I'm only speaking on behalf of the athletics for this, and I apologize for that, but like, it's only until we get to the part that we start talking about what could we possibly lose that people start to panic and then show up for these things.
Yeah,
You know what I
like-
mean? You guys started talking about how on March 18th, there's going to be a budget for when things have to get cut. And that is probably gonna be around the time that everybody starts showing up. But like, when there's smoke, there's fire, and all of a sudden people are showing up a little bit later. I guess one of the things, and not to kind of keep going in circles with you guys, is like, what is the best way that we can help to communicate information? What can we do to get people more, you know, around this a little bit more often? And just be able to share information, obviously legally within the parameters of what you guys are allowed to do. I think the biggest thing too is to just continue to listen to the kids' testimonies, because like you guys know, there's always like that one meeting that the kids are gonna come here, pound the table and talk about what matters to them. And I know you guys appreciate that, and I know your guys' response every year is, we don't need to hear it, we know it,
Right.
it needs to go to other people. And I think we need to encourage those people to take the next step. Because for a lot of our kids who, one, the fact that we've asked kids to be so involved in this process in the first place is insane. And we have amazing kids that have, with no hesitation, done so. And I think it's been amazing. Oh yeah, no, she's fantastic. But I've had kids that have like come to me in the school with anxiety and paranoia because like they don't know what's going to happen and they want to speak up at these things. And for a lot of kids, they're afraid to. And the fact that we've had some kids do that, I would love to find a way if we could kind of inform and educate kids about like how to bring this not past you guys, but like obviously you guys have conversations with FinCom, you have conversations through your tri board. I think those boards need to hear student athletes and kids in general, because it's not just student athletes, it's the band, it's our theater program, it's everybody.
Yeah, for people on
Can I suggest, instead of just bringing them to these boards, they bring all of their parents, any family members in town, to
Town meeting.
town meeting,
And that's what I was getting at.
May 2nd.
Yeah.
We need a sponsor to speak
And
if
then-
they're under 18.
And then,
Yeah.
We'll sponsor
and
it.
then they
that's a
have to
voter.
go and make sure those parents vote.
And that was the point I was getting to, and thank you.
That's-
Thanks for getting me there.
It's
been a long
like,
day.
you know, it's basically like throwing, I feel like I am happy to hear from students and I want to hear from them, right? But it feels like basically people are fighting over the last piece of pie, right? So that is the difficult position to be in here. And that's all I'm trying to say, is that,
Because like, what happened last year was counterproductive.
Oh, yeah.
In the sense that it did not forward the agenda and it put us at odds with each other.
Mhm.
And we are all trying to do the same thing. And the result was athletics got very few cuts compared to everybody else. That means that if there are cuts, athletics is gonna get decimated because it's the first in line. It's had the least impact, right? We don't want that to happen. And so what I'm trying to figure out, and you're a really good conduit for this because you come to these meetings, you are very articulate, the kids adore you. My son talks about how you help people with their PRs in the weight room every day. Is we need to figure out a way to have that advocacy be more effective than coming to us. It's like, we're all on board. We all volunteered, we self-selected.
Oh, yeah.
We're here to make sure that happens.
Yeah.
But like, for example, when Kara explained last week about how her schedule weakened the appearance of her college transcript, when we went to FinCom and I said class choice matters, and Dr. Fortuna said class choice matters, and then we got pushback, I used Kara's example, and everyone was silent. It was skepticism, real world example, argument is over.
And I guess that's the point I was trying to get at, and again, and I'm in agreement with you, like, the testimony kind of deal that we've had in the past, where the kids come to you, pound the table here, I would love to see if we could find a way to get that to happen at that next
And
level,
like-
where, like, again, to your point, like, we bring up information that, like, that you're bringing up in here, right? I remember, like, I was watching the last tri-board meeting when, like, Miss Miller and Miss Foyle, and we have teacher representatives that are fighting for the cause, and,
Yeah.
and like, getting those kind of testimonials is speaking volumes,
Yeah.
right?
And they don't even have to go, like, obviously what I would prefer, Mr. Cameraman, I would definitely prefer this, is if each one of the student athletes came to town meeting, and because they were under 18, they had to have a sponsor, and that sponsor was an eligible voter.
Absolutely.
Yeah, bring a voter.
So, that would be helpful, that's the ideal situation, but if they can't do that, when they come to us, if there was like, and I talked to Dr. Fortuna about this today, I wanna meet with the boosters, I wanna meet with the coaches, so that we can have a way of organizing advocacy, because I think that like, all of these stories matter. There was a young man who spoke last year who I didn't know, who was on the football team. My neighbor is Julia Callahan. I reached out to her, I was like, do you know this person? And she gave me this wonderful story, and I was convinced that like, but for your efforts and but for the football team, his life would not be fun. And his ability to speak in public was largely because he knew he had his teammates behind him. And when I knew that story, everything became much more powerful. And so like organizing the advocacy both here at school committee and on the town meeting floor, if we do that, I think that we can, make it much more effective.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm with you, like, whatever we can do to get more open communication between those groups,
Yeah.
on our side, we're all for.
Okay.
Like, again, like, we gotta figure out what you guys are legally allowed to communicate with us and what we can do in return, because that's where the dicey bit comes, but.
It's not really that complicated, I don't.
I just know, like, you guys have mentioned, like, sharing information ahead of time, but.
I would also like to add, send students to us, to the student representatives. When I am sitting here, it is not as a student who's in band, a student who's doing these things. I am here as the voice of our student council, but our student council is the voice of our students. All students should know who the reps in their grade are, and they should be saying things to those people who will bring it up in our student council meetings to me. Today, I walk into student council and I'm like, what would you guys like me to bring to school committee? And everyone's just like, advocate for us on the budget. If students have specific concerns, bring them to your reps, because that is why I'm here. It is to advocate for the student body of Lunenburg High School. And I can't do that. We, as a student government, cannot do that if people aren't telling us what their problems are. So when you're saying, how do we get students more involved? If a student comes to you, ask them, do you know who the reps in your grade are? Talk to one of your student council reps about that. Because that's what we're for, that's what we're elected for.
In addition to going to town meeting, I would also suggest that our students talk to the select board
Mm-hmm.
and get them to commit to putting the override on the ballot.
Yeah.
Because they didn't last year, so even though it passed the town meeting, it
I think,
was not voted on.
I think this year,
And,
I have faith.
Just to be safe, let's get
And-
everybody.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the
And-
student, it would be amazing,
and the high board too.
right? It would be amazing if we had a group
Yeah.
of students go to
Yeah.
the select board meeting and speak in open meeting, at the open meeting at the beginning. And remind them, tell them these
Because-
kind of stories.
Honestly, coming here, you're yelling at the people who are advocating for you.
Yeah.
Preaching to the
Yeah.
choir. We are
I mean, I
on
get
their side.
why, it's an obvious conduit for
Well,
the fear and the stress that the students are feeling. I get why, but
But you can see, I'm feeling the fear and the stress too, right? I mean, that is my honest, I don't,
And that was the part that I was getting at, and again, like,
Well, them here, but no, they really need to go there.
yeah.
but that was the part I was getting at too, where like, and again, to your guys' credit, like the level of transparency this year as opposed to years past has been night and day. I think in years past, it came from a place of a little bit of panic where like kids didn't know who to go to, they didn't know who to respond to. And again, like, and I'm speaking as an educator in the school and as an athletic coach. I try to juggle with like, what am I allowed to say? What am I not allowed to say? You know, and I think that's where we get a lot of the issue sometimes is like, what is the best way to point them forward in a course of direction? And having these conversations right now has been tremendous in that help. You know what I mean? So.
you grew up in town. Do you remember, as a high schooler, being concerned that your after-school activities, your extracurriculars, your band, your music, do you remember stress about those being cut and worries about the budget?
I mean, I don't know if I went to school during more robust times, you know what I mean? I mean, I was here from 97 to 2001. I honestly
That was
don't,
a pretty good time.
I mean, it was a pretty good time, I don't really remember
So,
being,
I just think it's not fair that, I know there are a lot of people in town who sent their kids to Lunenburg schools, who children are not currently in the school system thinking, well, my kids went through Lunenburg and it was great. I went
Right.
through Lunenburg and I did great, I came out great, and I guess my point here is that, a lot of them didn't feel this stress that we're
Yeah,
putting
no,
our
no, I mean,
students
I-
under,
I-
and I think it's not fair that students would be worried that what they need out of education might not be available to them.
My siblings graduated in 2019 and 2021 respectively, and when I started like coming to these and they would see me on Life 360 and be like, what are you doing at the school at 10 p.m.? I would be like, oh, well, they're discussing budget, like I need to make sure that the stuff I care about isn't being cut. They would be like, what? There's a budget? Like, it wasn't a problem. And I think now students are becoming far more aware of like what's going on behind the scenes, but at the same time that's good because they also remember being blindsided sometimes by like, oh, this class isn't being offered anymore. What? I was supposed to take that class. Kids just didn't know as much about what was going on as well.
And I think I've been saying this for literally 3 years now. Lunenburg Schools has been running extremely lean for many years. We trimmed all of the extras. We've trimmed so much fat from it so that at this point when we are facing these budget deficits, there is nothing left to trim. And I've been saying it for 2 years because it's true, and we've been sort of getting by. But this year is a real make it or break it year.
so can I, in the interest of us not being here till midnight, can I ask that we table the trainer discussion until we see Dr. Fortuna's proposal for the cuts?
So I think this proposal was for the restoration budget.
Right, but I don't know that I wanna make a decision about my position on this until I see the ugly.
I mean, in a cuts budget, yeah, this is, for me, in a cuts budget, this would absolutely be on the table because I'm not sure.
Right, but the thing is, like,
What
maybe,
sports are gonna look like in a cuts budget because we have to cut $900,000.
right, and I understand that, Laura, but I'm just saying, like, maybe I don't wanna agree to this, cause maybe I do wanna keep, if we're gonna go to a town meeting vote and we're gonna go to an override, maybe trying to save this 40 grand, or whatever it was it 40?
It's
86. It was 46.
46.
Is more work than it's worth, right? Like maybe in the override, but in a potential override budget, maybe we want the 46 grand, because is that gonna be the difference between the override passing and not passing? I don't know that it is, right?
I think that would make a difference. I really,
What do you think, Coach?
Which way,
Sorry,
which way do
sorry.
you think it's gonna
Too
make a
long.
difference?
Would it make it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, which way do you think it's gonna make a difference?
I think that if we cut the athletic trainer, we would lose support from some of the sports parents who would be very frustrated that an override vote would
Wouldn't
still
include
lose them this very vital position.
Okay, no, I just, cause that's why
I
well, that's why I'm not sure I'm ready to sort of make a decision either way, I guess, until I see the other.
when do you need a decision by?
So what we're trying to do right now
Yeah.
is get the override ask for the restoration budget down to a
Under
number
2
that's-
million.
Yes.
It has to be under 2 million.
And it is right now, it's at $1.9 million.
We're there.
We'd like to get it
I'm a little bit,
down a little more. And we're going to have to make some decisions eventually,
Mhm.
like about what we're going to cut. Like we have a very limited few spaces that we can go. We had, Chris and I were able to meet with Renee Emke today, who had a great idea about taking the money raised from transportation fees, once we have the final accounting from the town, off the top of our transportation budget for next year, so that whatever we got for fees this year will apply to the transportation budget, but we'll take it off
As an offset.
as an offset into the budget. There are very, very few places we have left to go, and
this is for the,
restoration budget to
so has the
Get that
select
number.
board given you a number that they want us to be under?
No,
For the
not yet.
restoration.
That's gonna come at the tri-board meeting, which,
Next week.
hopefully will be next Tuesday. Tony and Emily, please respond to.
Oh, I did.
Jen.
I already
Oh,
did.
Yeah.
That's right when I got it.
Excellent.
No. She said we had to re-reply because she didn't know who replied in the first round,
Oh,
We have to fill it
I
out
didn't-
again.
right? Isn't that
Yes.
what, she sent another email.
I didn't see that one. Did it right
So,
now.
my main concern is that if I were a sports parent and I was going to be losing this as if I was a sports parent whose child was playing a high risk of concussion sport, and we were taking away the athletic trainer, I'd be upset and maybe not as supportive of the override budget. Because I know we had a lot of outcry over this in the past. I don't think I would vote for this. I understand we're trying to cut costs wherever we can. I understand that only, 30% of Massachusetts schools have, or 30% of the schools that Anna surveyed have a full-time athletic trainer. We have a lot of sports participation in this school, and I have very serious concerns about the concussion risk. Students die from concussions. Students die from traumatic brain injuries. Students have lifelong cognitive disabilities as a result of brain injuries. Especially if they have a concussion and then they are not aware they do and they go back and play, subsequent brain injuries are extremely dangerous. And it's not always obvious. And I know that our athletic trainer, that is one of their biggest things they do, is monitor the students. And we have students on concussion protocols.
So, do we want to vote on this tonight, I guess, is what I'm saying then?
You don't have to vote on it tonight. What I'd like, though, is what we're trying to get you is a budget that reflects kind of the will of the committee, so we
For
can
a
get to
final
that.
restoration
Yeah,
budget.
to get
to an override number.
Correct.
Okay, and now we're at 1.9, so that's my question here as well, when I just did the math here.
It's different with this budget, but if
Okay.
we restore the full-time athletic trainer and go back to the part-time
But it's still
athletic
way
trainer.
more, and I know we don't do budget by committee, but, I mean, math by committee, but if I'm looking at the total actuals,
Mhm.
right, last year versus this year,
shouldn't that number be on 1.9 million
The difference.
between this and this?
No, it's the difference between that and that plus the town appropriation. Chris can explain it
two
better
point-
because
so
he's way better with the
It's
numbers
the
than-
difference between what we're asking for in a restoration budget and what we are expecting to get from the town manager based on 2.5%
Okay.
growth plus new growth, new buildings.
Okay, I got it.
renovations.
No, I got it in my mind. So it's because there is
No, I know
some
it's
money,
different. Yes.
there is some money that's gonna be
Okay.
part of, I get it. No, you don't have to, I got it.
Here's my concern. I am concerned that on one hand, if we cut $46,000 in the athletic trainer, we lose a large contingency of very active voters. On the other hand, I am concerned that if we keep adding things back in,
This-
that we're going to alienate people who are on the fence, and the reasonableness of our ask is the guiding light for their vote.
Yes, and we are adding back in because
We just can't keep
we're
adding back in.
taking,
We
we're
did this last
taking,
year and it didn't
we're
work.
taking the athletic director that was currently half-time,
Yeah.
and we're making that athletic director full-time.
And we
we're-
would keep the athletic trainer. I
Because
think-
everyone keeps telling me who's come before this committee that we need a full-time athletic director.
Would this be keeping a full-time athletic director?
And then cutting the trainer.
And that's what I'm proposing, that's what's proposed here, and.
Or we could go back
that-
to the part-time athletic director and,
Correct.
and full-time trainer.
Correct.
But we're always restoring the assistant principal job to a full-time job.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an utterly non.
I agree with that, but I just think we need to be really clear about what this conversation is. We either can, in my mind, we can either keep the trainer and make our athletic director work part-time, or we could keep a full-time athletic director and lose the trainer. I don't think we can have it all.
I think for purposes of this conversation tonight, that we will not have the votes either way to
Yeah.
produce, so I would
There's also,
look for a motion to table this till.
there are people whose jobs we're talking about.
I agree.
And by putting it off for another 2 weeks, I'm uncomfortable with that.
But whatever we vote on tonight is not gonna be a final with the.
No, because we have to wait for an override to pass.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just wanna be cognizant of the fact that the people we're discussing are aware it's being
Yes.
discussed, and I think it's not, it makes people nervous when we just table things. But, I mean,
I just, yeah, I mean, I don't. Do you have an opinion about any of this?
I mean, I'd like to wait if we can,
Okay.
but
I mean, I'm happy to keep full-time everything, but then we're going back to a half-time athletic director. I mean, whatever.
I think that I don't think that we have enough of a consensus to give
yeah,
Dr. Fortuna direction tonight.
Okay.
agreed.
on the bright side, the athletic trainer, I think it's been 3 years of these discussions, which is unfortunate. But everyone's,
So if we go back to the original athletic structure, it would add an additional $42,886 to the budget. That's the full-time AD and the full-time athletic trainer, correct, Chris? Oh, half-time AD.
Half-time AD, full-time athletic, trainer.
Okay, all right. So. I'll
it would
look
add
for-
46,000, so
42,000.
it would add 42,000, so the budget with the one, okay. It was not in there.
Let's look, I'm looking for motions either way. I don't care
You
at
can't
this
make a
point.
motion in the negative.
I would, to table, you could make a motion to
Oh,
table,
yeah.
or you could make a motion to vote any which way.
Make a motion to table it.
Anybody want to second that?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor of tabling the issue relating to the FY27 budget and the structure of the athletic department? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I'm gonna vote no,
All right,
but
That's okay.
I can't force you guys to keep talking.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Just to help facilitate our work.
Yes, I'm sorry, I feel good.
What I'm sensing as, and we haven't gotten a number yet, we haven't had that tri-board meeting yet. What I'm sensing right now is the will of the committee to keep that budget deficit at the 1.9 and go forth with that number. That's the number that we should present next week. That's the number that we feel we truly need. Is that, am I getting the right temperature so that we can be prepared for that meeting on Tuesday night?
Yes. Is that a number you're comfortable with?
It's a number I'm comfortable with. I wanted it under 2 or slightly under 2.
Yeah.
I worry,
What does that put us at percentage of override?
it keeps us at about 57.
Is that what the town manager wanted?
And
No, she would like us at 53,
Yes.
but I'm,
Okay. I would obviously do whatever you think is best, but I would prefer us to get to a number that puts it at 53.
Why?
Because I think that if, the calculus that I would make is, if we go higher than 53, would other committees support some kind of bifurcated override where the override would go to certain parts of town but not others? And
do
I
you think
would-
that's possible?
I
It's
do.
possible.
And I think I'd rather get something than nothing. And if the town views us as being overly greedy, which I don't think we are, but if that's the narrative, and the tri-board's will is to put forth a, compartmentalized or bifurcated override.
Tiered override. is what
Yeah,
we call
well, the tiered override
But I
would be the
think we
amount of money.
talked, I mean, I felt like at the last meeting, nobody wanted a bifurcated.
I hope not, but that seems like that would be
It's an option.
an option.
So I would just say that the only way an override passes in any community is if parents vote for it. No override is gonna pass without parent vote, because nobody else wants to raise their taxes.
It just won't.
It won't. I mean, I do not believe that any override will ever pass. I mean, they didn't pass the buildings last year, they didn't pass, the only thing that has passed in this town in the
And
last,
part of why the buildings didn't
Yes,
pass
is because the parents were so mad.
Many parents, and I warned about this.
right,
Many parents were very upset about the number of cuts to the school system and said, how can we afford this building if we can't afford what the schools need?
I agree in that the parents are a huge voting bloc.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I, again, want to caution us against, and this is why I would caution against a tiered override,
right.
is that we are one community.
Yes.
And we need to stand united. And I think that the need for the fire department for shift is critically important to the town and the well-being of the citizens here. And I know I shouldn't be arguing somebody else's budget, but
Yeah.
No,
I
the
think-
fire
I think
department
we
is
all agree
so
that, but-
blatant.
I mean,
We're not
I agree
saying
with
their
that.
needs are not
I
important.
completely agree with that. I just think, I'm not against the 57, like down to 53. I just
How about 55?
believe
Can we
truly
compromise?
that that number is irrelevant to whether people vote for it or not.
I think.
I guess that's my point. Like, that is sort of backroom conversation.
The concern of.
Do you know what I mean? That has nothing to do really with what a voter.
One of the concerns of townspeople who are not school adjacent is that the schools are eating up more and more of the budget every year, and they want it 50-50, which is not.
No school district is, yeah.
It's not, and I think,
Especially when we carry the healthcare.
yeah, so.
Make it 50/50.
I need to go through and make a spreadsheet of what other communities have, but no, there's a desire to keep it at around 50-50, and when we had the override 2 years ago, it climbed from 51 to 53. And the concern is, if we go to 57, now every year, we are consuming 57% of the budget as opposed to the 53%, and that the school, I'm not saying this is a
my concern, but I am saying that this is a concern that people who are not school adjacent or supportive of what we do, that is their concern.
Right.
And my concern would be if, I'm fine with the 57, but my concern if we get to 57 is that the town manager in the future will want to adjust our increases less because the override only has to go
It's
to the
only
schools the
dedicated.
first year.
Yeah, so she could always
So-
just do 57.
And I don't think she would. I think that she would work with us because we have a good partnership with this town manager. But my concern would be that there would be attempts at trying to balance it again in the future, giving us less of an increase in the future that we would then need to.
Make cuts forward. If we
Continues.
get the override and still make cuts.
But
The thing
I
is-
don't believe that because I think if we need 57%, we need 57%. I don't think our ask is enough. I think that it is extremely conservative. I think you did a good job of keeping it down. But I have concerns that we're being too conservative in our ask.
And so I think the one thing, I agree with some of what you say, and I understand that the town manager does not have to allocate it to us for years to come. But the school district has very few levers to raise funds. Very, very few. The town does not have a lot either. I'm not saying that they have a lot. They do not have a lot. But they have a little more control than we do.
Yeah.
With economic development, with things that could happen in town that have been ignored for years and years and years. And that is not the responsibility of the current select board or the current town manager, and I do not think that is their problem. But the town as a whole needs to take a look at who we want to be. And the school district wants to, and the school committee wants our kids to get a great education. And I believe it is our job to make sure that that happens. And the town cannot be scared to pursue what we need. Because the thing is, you can't live in a community like ours and not pay higher taxes or have more development, or we gotta get the state to do something else. Those are the three options.
State's never gonna do anything.
Can I posit one more thing?
Yeah,
Let's go back to the original restoration budget.
yeah,
With the adjustments that we had to make, which are adjustments up,
yeah,
with the adjustments that we had to make contractually,
yeah.
and use that as our budget, because I don't think proposing a restoration budget
Yeah.
and proposing cuts at the same time
Yeah.
is a wise thing to do.
Okay.
And then I think if we have to make cuts, then we put all these ideas back on the table.
Okay.
That makes
That's
sense.
fine.
I think that's perfectly reasonable. I just,
Yeah.
it's so hard to make very difficult cuts, especially ones that would affect the health and safety of our students. And then even that would involve an override.
Yes.
The cuts budget, for anyone listening, this is absolutely, athletic trainer is going to be on the table for a cuts budget. Athletic
Right.
directors, the cuts budget is a different beast.
We did not table this very well.
No.
No, we
Just
didn't.
gonna say that.
Right.
Did you have something you wanted to add?
I love it.
Sorry.
I just wanted to ask, got kind of in the weeds.
We do.
I completely understand. You had a whole discussion about trying to add 46,000 in. And then we're concerned about 57% being too high. We'd have to cut that position. What would the other 4% be?
Right.
So,
It would be
you know,
drastic cuts.
Just
Yes.
logically, like.
To the restoration, yeah.
Yes.
What in the world would you cut from?
We'd have
In that
to
restoration.
eliminate the whole restoration budget, and still then we'd require an override just for level service. The biggest drivers of our budget for the community are out of our control. It's transportation, utilities, and health insurance. Those are completely out of our control. And if you look at how we're budgeted, those items have gone up significantly because of how we've had to forecast that for next year. And I think that, again, this idea of who is in control, right? We don't have control over those cost drivers at all. We have, I'm concerned, underfunded in some cases, our, I can't think of the right word for it, our supplies and materials line items. And I think what we're asking to restore is completely necessary. I think that restoration budget is born out of what we see is not working this year, because we have previously cut those positions, with the exception of the English language learning teacher, but that's due to population increases. So I think what we can control is limiting, and I agree that we could have asked for more. We did not.
Right.
We could have asked for 3 times what we asked for, and just to restore the positions we cut last year. But I think it's key to note, biggest cost drivers are not in our control, and we are simply trying to restore things that we know don't work for students, and our students are suffering because we don't have these things.
Because 53% is just keeping up with current costs, not even restoring those necessary positions.
Yes.
I would also just like to add, I mean, I've spoken to my parents, to friends' parents. People are far more likely to vote to, pay more in their taxes if the things they want are coming back or being kept the same. If you're saying we're going to increase your taxes by this amount, but you're still going to lose this, and this, there's almost no point then in increasing your taxes if the things you care about are still going to be gone. If your biggest fear in life is your kid going out playing football and ending up with a concussion, and they're saying you can raise your taxes and we'll have someone there who can help prevent that, they're far more likely to say yes than if you say, well, we can raise your taxes and there still won't be anyone there to help if that happens. It just...
That's a good point.
Yeah. Excellent.
All right. So I'm gonna assume that operates as agenda item 11, public
Yep.
comment for issues discussed tonight.
Well, wait, can I just say one thing
Sure.
about FY '27? So 2 things, it kind of actually
Motion to table.
segue, no, it wasn't about, so.
I win the no with
Come on, we were tabling just the discussion about the
athletic.
the trainer. So the superintendent and the chair of the school committee in Groton Dunstable sent an email to students, parents, families, asking them to write letters to their legislators. And I would like us to do the same thing. I would love to have something, because yes, maybe the legislature isn't gonna save us today, maybe they're not gonna save us next year, but if we stop asking, they're never gonna save us. So
That's true.
we have to continue to ask, and it's a pain in the butt, and it stinks, but I'm gonna go to the public hearing in a few weeks and speak, but I would love for us to be able to do something. I volunteered to put it all together. I did draft a letter that I think this committee should send to the chairs of Ways and Means and to our own legislators. I can't take comments outside of public meeting because the public meeting law is the worst law written in America.
Oh, it's terrible.
I don't know if Liz would volunteer possibly to take people's edits for us of the letter I wrote, if other members of the committee had edits. Could she do that and send something back to me, and then I could get it sent? I mean, we could send it the 18th, that would be fine, but that way having something fully prepared on the 18th to vote on,
And
is
just
that?
so the charter watch people are aware, I have delegated this responsibility of the chair to Mandy because of her prior experience in the legislature. No, I did have somebody point out why is certain people doing things, so I will just say that is why we're doing that.
We did vote on it actually at
We
the
did
beginning of
vote
the
on it,
year.
and so
You
I
voted
feel
to
like
chair
it's
me to be the chair of the
fine.
public policy committee.
Fine.
Public
I just
policy,
wanna
whatever.
put that to bed.
Thank you. So as long as the rest of the committee is fine with that, the letter is in your packets, and if you wanna send any edits you have to Liz, then we can get it finalized.
Sounds
and-
good.
Thank you for
We could do that.
drafting.
Okay, that's
Still
all.
need to do
That's all, now you can have a,
Okay. All right, public comment on issues discussed tonight. Anybody else? Anybody online?
Yeah.
All right.
Squire,
All right.
Carla, if you're there.
Yeah, I'm here.
hi, Mrs.
Go
Squire.
ahead.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I've been listening to the discussion about positions, and it's really challenging and it's really difficult. I think I've said this this is probably my 3rd time saying this, but we're going to be forced to make some difficult decisions. One of the things I hope that we can approach the process with compassion for colleagues across the organization. And when I say across the organization, I mean our whole town of Lunenburg. Our police department, our fire department, we work collaboratively with all of the departments across the town of Lunenburg. So different groups are going to experience an impact differently. That should not turn into a competition about who is more deserving of the resources. Because everyone, every student in this town is deserving of the resources. But we're going to be faced and have to make some difficult decisions. I think everyone is working hard. Everyone's going to be affected. So our focus should be on understanding each other's constraints and finding the most thoughtful path forward. We're working hard as an administrative team. We're working with Dr. Fortuna. It's not going to be perfect, and yes, we have to, as Tony was saying, something's got to give. We can't keep everything that we want, but we have to work together as a community and come together. Without that, we're going to have fighting within one another. It's not going to be productive. It's not good for students. We've seen this in the past. We've lost really good educators. We can't continue to do that. I think we have to come to an understanding. Everyone's going to have to give something if our override doesn't pass, and even with the override passing something. But we have to have some understanding, because fighting back and forth. How did our custodians and maintenance feel today? We talked about outsourcing. We're going to have uncomfortable conversations. We have to understand everyone and just know that everyone is doing their best. That's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Fryer. Is there anyone else?
No.
Okay. Can I do a public comment?
Yes?
I don't know if we talked about this beginning, because I was coming from an event and I was late. It was a really challenging week for our bus drivers. So I wanted to recognize them and say thank you for getting our students home safe. It was absolutely crazy few days for them. And I don't know what this morning was like for them on the early run, but I very much appreciate them, and I know that sometimes Tony's not a fan of the.
I love our bus
outsourcing,
drivers. I
but
say good morning to.
We have
amazing bus drivers.
Yeah.
We are very lucky to have bus drivers who very much care about the well-being of our kids. And I wanted to say I very much appreciate them, and only yesterday. That was yesterday?
Yeah.
Yesterday was a really rough day, and the buses were running late, and because they were going slow to get everybody home safe, and I appreciate that, so I wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, the forecast was very inaccurate.
I was surprised. I mean, when you canceled, I was surprised. Just like, oh, it didn't seem that bad.
I had no idea.
It was bad.
It was.
Yeah.
Ethan's bus slid backwards down the hill.
Yeah.
Oh, But, no, our bus drivers are fantastic, and they take the safety of our kids very seriously, and I just want to say I appreciate them. Thank you.
Yes, and I had one public comment that I read at Read Across America Day, and it was wonderful. And I want to thank the teachers who, and Alicia McAllister, who put it together. And I got a really nice pile of thank you notes from the students yesterday, which was really cute.
Anybody else have any public comments? All right. I know Laura gets mad at me for doing this, but I'm fading fast.
Oh my God, yeah,
I had
fine.
a
I'm tired too.
tea that I brought to stay
Let's
awake.
just table subcommittees.
All
I'll
right,
do it this
subcommittee,
time.
and then topics for future discussion. The only thing is, Coach, I wanna make sure that the school committee, at least one or two of us, has an opportunity to talk to coaching staff, to the athletic director, and to sports boosters to see how we can organize advocacy in a way that is impactful.
Yes.
Because I think that, as Kara provided us an example last week, you have, instead of bullets, let's say that they're gems in a mine, and you have to polish those gems to bring them to town meeting.
Arrows,
Arrows is close to violence.
Can I ask, so I think I've mentioned this before, and I don't know if it was at the meeting I had missed. If we could do an HR staffing report, like a quarterly HR staffing report?
We are working on that for you.
Okay,
Yes.
just because I don't,
We'll
like-
present it with our quarterly
Okay.
report.
I think it's important to know, or if, you know, we've got people quitting in mass, or leaving. I just think that's important, and it's nice to see who we're hiring.
Mhm.
I don't know if other towns do that because they're bigger, but, I thought that was important. That's all.
All right, looking for a motion.
Motion to adjourn at 9:34.
9:34, second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.